Welcome, everybody, to episode number 18 of the Dragon's Den podcast. My name is Eric Hopkins, a.k.a. JEL. I have seen Deadpool and Wolverine, everybody. I'm going to be talking about that here in just a little bit. Non-spoilers. I'm not going to ruin the movie for you guys. I am going to let you guys know what I thought about it for sure. I'm joined tonight by Sir Spooby and Mrs. Spooby up at the top right, Brandon and Miranda, as well as Matthew down on the bottom left, and Aaron joined us right before the show started here. So good to have him here joining us as well.
Welcome, Aaron.
Yeah, so he wasn't here right before we went live. We didn't know he was going to pop up. So
just in time.
And just to make it clear, we have not seen Deadpool yet, but we plan to see it tomorrow.
Yes.
You said mover. You mean movie?
Yeah, I meant sorry. Slip of the tongue there. My bad.
I just want to make sure that the grammar was correct.
Right, movie. Yeah. See, Matt's trolling.
Yo, you got Matt.
See, Matt's trolling right now because what happens in our group chats a lot of times, he'll misspell words,
And
I'll like try to correct his wording. Now I got you. Good. Love it, brother. All right.
1 point for Matt.
1 point. All right. Way to start the show on the back foot there. Way to go, Eric.
We're best friends. So we go back and forth with each other about this grammar thing of mine. I'm a phonetic speller. So I spell things. Yeah, and my wife just corrects me. I'm a phonetic talker.
Yeah, we won't talk about it.
Listen, I use phonics. It is what it is.
I have to decipher a lot.
I shorten a lot of words that shouldn't be shortened, that are already short to begin with. I'll be like, got it.
Got there. Well, see,
Aaron,
usually
I
Ty.
love the background.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Kudos.
That is
Usually
awesome.
Ty's the one who corrects Matt on his grammar in our
Yeah.
D&D chat, but
Yeah,
since it was
Ty
in the
does it.
podcast chat stuff, well, he's in that too. But anyway, we'll have to get him on the show. We're trying to get Ty to come on the show.
Yeah, we
So if you're
like-
listening,
Yeah.
buddy,
I've
one of
been
these
trying to
days,
get Ty to buy a house out here, and I think he's not going to do it. So I'm done.
Yeah.
it was worth a try, I guess, for
The
sure.
marketing.
I think we've been trying to get everybody to buy a house out here.
Well, nobody wants to live by us, Aaron. It's just
I
you
mean, I
and
wouldn't
us.
mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I just don't know if I could afford it right now with the housing market. If it comes down, maybe if we get a new
Well,
president in
listen,
office, maybe. But-
the one that the old lady lives in down the road is for sale, and
Yeah.
you could probably get it for less than what you're paying for your apartment a month.
then it all comes down to like, do I have money down and all that sort of good stuff? Can I get a loan for
True.
mortgage?
Yeah.
All that.
All right, stop
But-
being an adult and thinking about things, Eric. I'm just
I know. I like to plan things out meticulously when I do stuff like that for sure. But you're probably right. It'd probably be cheaper than my rent. That's for dang sure at this point, man. But anyway,
So I think
that's
you
not
should
what's-
hire people to move your pops.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not-
Oh God, yeah. I don't.
No,
It'll take me
definitely.
months just to do it on my own if I did that. So
Listen,
It's a
I
problem.
appreciate you helping me move and all that shit. I'm not packing that shit up.
what if it's after it's already packed?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You
As
just,
long as
you just
I
don't
ain't
want
gotta
the help.
pack it. Yup.
Well,
blame
no, you know what? I ain't doing those stairs. So
Well, yeah, that's a pain too. Which is crazy. I just had like 2 neighbors move out, so like it's kind of quiet on this end of the building right now. The little
Long
yappy
dogs?
Chihuahua dog, he's gone.
Oh,
Woo! That dog was obnoxious.
Yeah.
I hated coming over to your house or to your apartment because of that dog.
Dog
Well,
barking
and it's
out.
like you can't even take out trash or anything with that thing running up to the door. But what can you do? Nothing against the dog, but I like little dogs. But
Other thing against a dog. I hate
Yeah.
Now,
dogs.
Eric, you need another cat.
it's usually the owner's fault.
I thought
You
about
need
it.
another
Yeah.
You should.
Of course, I'd have to get 2 cats though, because the problem is I feel bad about leaving a cat all by itself for 8 to 10 hours a day. So I would at least want to get in a buddy at least or something.
Mhm.
So I've
Okay.
thought about it, but I haven't quite pulled the trigger just yet.
Eric,
But,
that
Oh,
man
shit.
looked at you like
Eric's
I
gonna
don't
get
want
cats.
I'm going to be the crazy cat lady like JD Vance talked about, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But anyway, preview of coming attractions, as it were.
Let's talk about Nancy Pelosi that way.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're not going to talk much about her tonight. But anyway,
Oh, that sucks.
we were going to kind of start off the show a little bit of a kind of a sad, a little bit of an angry note from me, actually. I don't know about you guys, but anybody else aware that the Olympics started this evening? I guess the opening ceremonies occurred in Paris, France.
I
And
heard about
Miranda
this.
sent this to the group chat, and I thought this actually absolutely infuriates me as a Christian. Obviously, this is the French people over there in France apparently kind of mocking the Last Supper. So
Yeah, I heard about this.
yeah, I'm not thrilled with that. For sure.
You know what?
So,
That's
and-
why all their fucking trains wouldn't work this morning because they let terrorists in their country. So fuck 'em.
Is that what it was?
It's
Wow.
hashtag fuck 'em.
Talk about the French people like that.
Well,
I'm
I mean, obviously, from the picture, you can clearly tell it's like certain.
That's wild.
and the choreographer that did this, the whole routine, I don't think I saved the picture. He looks like a Podesta fucking fan club member.
And then they did like
hold on a second. I
horse
need to zoom in on
thing
this.
and-
Hold on.
It was
I
kind
got
of
some
panic,
What?
really.
commentary.
They're
That
bad at
woman-
math because
that
I
woman
see
looks
12
nothing like
apostles and
Jesus.
17 people.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
but
hold on
apparently,
a
like the
second.
whole thing was just kind of a bit of a mockery and things like that.
Now-
From what I gather,
Mhm.
I need to go. I really don't want to watch the video, to be honest with you.
Look,
But
that's Peter Paul. They look. They look nothing like that woman looks nothing like Jesus.
well, of course
Okay.
not. But
And hold on a
clear-
second. I'm picking this apart. Hold on.
apparently, okay, just go.
Pick apart,
Hold on.
man.
We'll go with
Okay,
this.
yeah.
I've got some things to talk about here. The
Okay.
Eiffel Tower's in the background, which
Yeah,
I don't
well, they
see
are in
that.
Paris.
I don't see
Yeah,
that at the
they
Last
are
Supper.
Paris. Well, that's because they're inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
I
I'm
don't know.
making a point.
All right, get there.
I'm already there.
All
This
right.
guy,
You
this lady
good?
looks nothing like Jesus.
Well, no.
And-
But
okay,
clearly, they're celebrating. Look like they're celebrating certain like different ideologies for sure. And if you've been following anything with the government like elections that are going on over there with like Parliament and all this stuff that's been going on in Europe, it's probably an indication of kind of where things are going in France. And I'll just leave it at that for now.
They were trying to burn down Paris.
Yeah, we'll leave the politics more for a little bit later. But I just thought this was something to kind of bring up because obviously with the Olympics starting, it's a big deal. As I said in the group chat too, this pretty much killed all the enthusiasm I had left of ever watching the Olympics this year. So I don't think I'll be tuning in too much. So no offense to you guys if you do. I know the Olympics are a very popular thing, but that with the whole LeBron being on the men's basketball team and then of course Caitlin Clark not being on the women's basketball team kind of makes me feel like you're really not putting your best foot forward and trying to actually win these events. If you ask me, and you've got other agendas, so to speak. But I digress. We'll move on from that. But we thought we'd talk about a little bit about Comic-Con is going on in San Diego right now. And of course, we've got all sorts of news.
Boo!
Listen,
What's
Boo!
it doing about?
Boo!
if there's one con
Always is.
everybody should go to, like legitimately, it's the one in San Diego. I went one time, and legit. Besides the dude pushing me on the sidewalk when there was nowhere else to go, and I had to turn around and let him know, like, yo, fam, like, I ain't moving because you ain't moving. Like, don't push me again. Other than that, from the time I landed, we went to the hotel, and when we got to pick up our badges and shit for the next day, the dopest fucking experience I've ever had. The after parties, the exclusiveness to some of the rooms, and like some of them though, if you really want to get in to see something, you got to get there early. Hall H is the biggest one they have, and if there's something in Hall H you want to see, yo ass better be sitting there because I promise you, when I went, what movie?
Stan Lee was still.
Stan Lee was there.
Oh, that'd been
He was out on
cool.
the floor
Mhm.
when I saw him and Lou Ferrigno, they were out on the floor. My man was just signing autographs.
Nice.
I ran into a popular YouTuber there.
The
that-
Deadpool
the
YouTuber.
Deadpool YouTuber that was there.
Oh, cool.
Jaden used to follow him. Hell, we still subscribe to him.
Yeah.
And I was standing in line for it was like around this Walking Dead thing, and I was going to go see this Dragon Ball Z display or whatever. But I'm standing in line, and he was like right over here, and there's a crowd of people, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I see him, and I go, oh hell no. So I go over to him like, yo, this is about to seem mad weird. I was like, but my son watches your stuff, and I want to get a picture with you if that's cool, so I can send it to him. He was super dope about it. He was like, yeah, no problem. So me and him took a couple pictures, but I ended up sending one back to Miranda, like, show this to Jaden. But legitimately, one of the dopest things, and like the coolest part, I mean, besides all the stuff you'll see, is the costume contest that they do on the last day. Brother, the amount of time and effort that people put into some of these costumes, outrageous. And it was like legit. So if you ever get a chance to go to San Diego for Comic-Con, do yourself a favor and go.
I mean, I just want to go to the Indianapolis one. I've still not done it yet. Whenever they have their ones, it's like every winter or whatever.
I saw Virgil at San Diego.
Oh yeah, rest in peace, Virgil. I saw him once too. Met him with Ted DiBiase at Carl Casper's custom car show down there in Louisville, Kentucky. Ted DiBiase was nice. Of course, I don't know if Virgil was in character or if he was just kind of being like, because like I was trying to like, I wanted like an autograph and stuff. So I got the autograph, but I was like, hey, can I get a picture with you guys? And he's like,
This is DiBiase, the wrestler, right?
Yeah,
Bro,
Ted
that's
DiBiase, $1 Million Man. Yeah.
My father is a huge Ted DiBiase fan. That was the wrestler he liked the most in that time period.
Yeah. Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Yeah. Love Ted DiBiase.
Yeah,
and of course, like, I mean, they signed it, they were cool about it, but I had to pay like $40 or something for that. They wanted $70 or something more extra for like a picture. I'm going, I'll be back. I never come back because I was like, nah, no thanks. But it was nice to meet them though. At least they shake their hands and all that sort of stuff. But
yeah,
was really cool.
Like I said, if nothing else, and you want to go, because like I said, Hall H is where all the celebrities and all of them would be for like movies and stuff like that. Now there was a couple movies I wasn't at Hall H that I went to, but I was there for a lot of video game shit too.
Oh,
and after parties are dope. Like you get to go, and some of the hotels are all decked out for certain things. Like it was when Godzilla, which fucking one it was, but they had this whole Godzilla experience, and you got to walk through like a tear down city and shit, and like you can see Godzilla looming in the background, and then like you get to this one section, and it's like you're in a building, and Godzilla's face comes up to the building, and he opens his eye. It's dope. It was a dope experience.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, we're going to get into Hall H a little bit here, just a little bit too, because I've got some Marvel potential predictions. We thought we'd discuss a little bit because Marvel Studios is going to host a Hall H panel tomorrow evening around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So while I'm watching Deadpool for the second time, there's going to be Marvel Studios news and stuff coming out for Marvel, and we'll probably discuss them here on the channel in the coming days and maybe next week as well. But there's going to be all sorts of news dropping, and we're going to kind of discuss what our thoughts are on the predictions for that coming up here. But before we get into that, like I said, there's other movie news coming out because of Comic-Con, and one of the things I wanted to talk about was, of course, Roland Emmerich. I don't know if you know who he is. He directed speaking of Godzilla, like the Godzilla back in like 2000 with Matthew Broderick. He's also most known for directing Independence Day. And of course, him and his producer, Dean Devlin, I think, took care of that. But apparently, according to Roland Emmerich, he says he has revealed that he has a completed story for Independence Day 3, which is now owned by Disney since Disney bought Fox, which is obviously alluded to many times in the new Deadpool movie. But because of this, he says he's got a story, quote, ready to go. But the problem is Independence Day 2 was a total disaster. It was not good at all, top to bottom. That movie was a dumpster fire of a film. And I love the original 1996 Independence Day movie. It's one of the greatest Independence Day films of 4th of July of all time, really. But of course, when they were making Independence Day 2, Will Smith must have took one look at that script and said, nah, fam, I'm out. And he decided not to come back. So they killed his character off screen, which I thought was stupid. And of course, they got some of the other actors to come back. But without Will Smith, that was your main draw. Jeff Goldblum being in it was okay, I suppose. But the stuff they did with it, they had like a spaceship that come now that basically covered most of the planet instead of just city-sized spaceships. And so it got really strange. And toward the end of the movie, the story left up on a cliffhanger, kind of like, well, now that they've come to fight us, we've got the technology now. Let's go get them. So the implication was going to be that they were going to go find the aliens' homeworld and invade them and take the fight to them. I just don't see that working based on the way the last one went. But again, Disney owns it now. That does not mean they're going to make this sequel. But since Roland Emmerich is saying he's got a story ready to go, do you think Disney would do this? And if so, apparently it doesn't look like none of us are here are going to be for it. But I thought I'd get your thoughts on it.
I don't know how you would. I don't even, if I did see the second one, I promise you I don't remember it.
I've seen it like once, maybe twice, maybe once at home. I watched the theater and I was like,
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I don't think so.
I mean, the original's outstanding. I mean,
What's it called?
Is it called Independence Day 2?
Independence Day Resurgence is his name.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
I mean, it's not the greatest in the world. You're not missing much. And I'm sure most people would agree, which is a shame too, because like I said, the original's so good. It's one of those movies I like to watch around 4th of July, especially that Bill Pullman speech at the end of the movie. We celebrate our Independence Day. Just the way he delivered it. It makes me want to run through a brick wall. I mean, it's like
that scientist in that photo, he got done dirty.
Well, that's the other thing. He died in the first film. He's back in the sequel.
No, he clearly died in the first one.
I mean, they made it sound like, like he got choked unconscious or something because you saw him
Nah,
laying
that
there.
motherfucker got
He was
killed.
dead, okay? But somehow they brought back Brent Spiner for that film. And yeah, I don't know how they, it didn't really work for me. But yeah, I mean, they tried. I'm not saying it
That
went
was an
well.
agenda, I'm pretty sure.
You think so? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. But yeah. So, I mean, like I said, without Will Smith, it just didn't have that star power to it to begin with. So I just don't know. Unless he was somehow to come back and they say, oh, he didn't really die too off screen, like they said in the movie. They had his son, who was, well, it wasn't his real son, but his son in the movie, the actor was portraying Will Smith's character's son. So they kind of tried to, bring him in that way. And it had the woman he was in love with or engaged to in the first film. I guess, it was her child who was grown up. But this little boy from the first film was supposedly grown up. So, but yeah, I mean, it just didn't work for me. So I'm not really excited about this. And it's one of those I'm going to say, no, I don't think we need this. And you know me, I like Fast and Furious. I'm like, bring on the sequels if they're good. But I just don't know if I want it. Now, if Disney wants that Disney money, though, you know how they are. So this very well
Disney's going to run it into the ground like they do everything else.
And you know what? And to be fair, I don't disagree with you. You're right. But at the same time, they are kind of revitalizing the Alien franchise a little bit. We've seen what they've done with Deadpool now with the R rating and stuff. So maybe they can make it worth something. I'm not saying it can't be good, but at the same time, it's just like, I just don't know if I feel it, especially after that bad sequel.
I think somebody needs to come in and break Disney up and get some new writers.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the Alien is just going to be like the Twisters movie, where it's
could be
basically shot for shot the original Aliens movie, just with new younger actors.
Yeah,
I mean, you very well may be right about that.
Yeah, because we saw the trailers, and you pointed out, and it's been a long time since I've seen Aliens, but I remember when we were watching the trailer, you saw some things that looked very similar to the original movie, and it's like, it seems like it's just going to be the same thing.
They released a trailer after that I did a trailer reaction for here on my channel, so go check that out. But it looked like it might have done enough to where it was definitely different than the original. The second trailer did. But yeah, that first one, I was like, this looks like it could be shot for shot, just like Twisters was. And like I said, Twisters was also different in some aspects to make it where it wasn't an exact remake, but there was so many beats in there that was like, all right, you clearly were trying to copy the first film with that. So, I mean, you could do that to a degree, but you kind of still need to make it new at some point. You know what I mean? So I'm a little worried about the Independence Day if it ends up being a thing, but I really have a hard time buying that it's actually going to happen because, like I said, that last one did not do so well. So I'm not too worried about it yet. He can say he has a story for it all he wants. I'm sure he had a story in mind when the last one came out, and it just didn't materialize. So I wouldn't worry too much. So yeah, there's that. Also at Comic-Con, we had a new trailer that came out apparently during a panel that Paramount was doing for Transformers 1. I know we kind of went over a trailer before. I thought we'd check out the new trailer and let you guys know what we think about that. So let's check that out real quick.
For thousands of years, we have been at war. But before, we were enemies. We were like brothers.
You ready?
Always ready. Let's punch in.
Hey, watch where you're going.
What did you say?
It's not like you can transform. Hey, Darkwing.
Oh,
My finger can transform. Guess which one?
Wait. Bruh.
I appreciate you having my back. No matter what.
What is that?
Sending location coordinates.
Under attack!
It's an SOS message from the surface.
Fantastic.
It's time to show them we are more than meets the eye.
A cave with teeth. Nothing scary about that. Holy Primus.
I see strength in you. Take these and access your full potential.
He can transform now.
How do we use these things?
Come on.
How you choose to use this power is up to you.
We roll out.
What?
Louder.
Transform and roll out.
I want to help build a better world. Like you said, we can be so much more.
Maybe it's just me, but he's different.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I picked up on that.
I picked up on that too.
What happened to my best friend? Burn it down! All of it!
We have to stop him.
We could have built the future together.
I don't think so.
Decepticons! Rise up! Incoming!
Come on.
Nice.
That was pretty cool.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now is the time for us to stand up together as one.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
Look, that's Starscream and your Shockwave and Soundwave. Enough. Gosh, raise your hand if Wave is in your name. There's a lot of Wave.
All right, fair. I really liked how at the very end there they had the little Transformers the little sound effect that they threw in there. So yeah, I mean this obviously was released, like I said, at Comic-Con here. From what I understand, they're saying that people who have seen the movie already are saying that it's absolutely outstanding. So that's nice to see. There's absolutely no humans in this movie. I know a lot of criticism for the Transformers stuff is the fact that there's too many humans in the movie. Since this is animated, you could definitely get away with no humans in this as much. So like that's a good thing to see. And they said this movie is going to take place, I think, like 3 billion years before the Transformers live action films in the timeline. To something to that effect, I believe is the right amount of numbers. But either way, yeah, I think this trailer looks far better than the last one we reviewed. Obviously, the special effects and stuff are a lot better, and the animation's more polished. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Not sure I quite buy Chris Hemsworth saying "roll out" just yet, but
it's a young Prime. You know what I mean? He hasn't got that real raspiness yet.
Yeah. His Adam Zappa. I mean, yeah, I don't know something. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe he'll get it by the end of the movie. I don't know. Get that Thor sound to his voice. I don't know. But yeah, you guys looking forward to this? You want to take the kids?
Yeah. Looks good.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, I'm just excited to hear that they said it was good. Like surprisingly good. So if that's the case, that's a good sign. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And hopefully we can get the Transformers franchise back on a good bit of a right path, because I mean, even Rise of the Beast was kind of hit with mixed reviews a little bit. I liked it. I didn't mind it, but I mean, it's not as good as Bumblebee, but Bumblebee was kind of a high bar. But if you can, I mean, if they can hit the Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover movie, knock it out of the park, I think they're off to a good start. So I'd love to see them continue to build that. And if they get,
I like this because you get to see, that Megatron and Optimus were really close before whatever Megatron did.
It's usually the way it happens, huh?
Yeah.
Not only that, there's a scene at the beginning of Bumblebee. That starred John Cena and I think Haley Steinfeld was her name. But there's a scene at the beginning of that movie where you literally see the Transformers on Cybertron as they're, evacuating, so to speak, as Cybertron's being, annihilated with the war that's going on. I would love to see this eventually. Maybe if this movie's successful, I know it probably costs too much money to do a full Cybertron movie in live action. But if you could make show the progression and how Cybertron got destroyed and the war between the Autobots and the Decepticons in the animated form, I'd be down for it. I would just like to see the way they show that to kind of give us a precursor to what goes on in the live action stuff. So hopefully we get that, and I think it'll be great. Any thoughts on this, Aaron, or are you good with that?
I just want to say I'm annoyed with everything being like, Transformers 1, Mortal Kombat 1, that's just obnoxious to me. I don't know. It's just like
it's the number one.
Yeah, the first in the series. I get it,
but it's not though. It's not.
Yeah, in the timeline, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, in this instance, it kind of is because it's telling the origin story of how they became Autobots.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But a lot of other things, it's like they'll do, it's the one, but it's actually just a remake or a different timeline, that kind of thing. And that's obnoxious.
Well, Michael, to answer your question, do you think Transformers will someday cross over with G.I. Joe? They've already stated, Paramount's already said, I believe the next Transformers live-action movie is a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover film. Because they if you've seen Rise of the Beast, small spoiler, at the end of that movie, they tease G.I. Joe in the same universe. So whether it's the next film or the film after that or whatever it be, I think Paramount's already pretty much said they're doing a crossover. I just hope however they reboot G.I. Joe, they do it properly, because if they do it properly with Transformers, it can be outstanding. It's just the G.I. Joe movies that kind of came before with Channing Tatum and The Rock. Even though I like The Rock's movie a little bit better, they killed Duke and that went off early too, but that was kind of stupid. But you reboot it correctly, do it right, and maybe you have something there. But it sounds like that's coming up probably in the next few years. I think they're going to work on that as soon as they can. So coming up soon. All right. With that being said, I guess let's move into the one thing that even I think pretty much I can talk about, but I will not ruin it for anybody. I promise you. Deadpool and Wolverine. I went and seen it last night here in town. And I'm going to give you my non-spoiler thoughts. I'm not going to ruin anything here. I take that back. I'm going to ruin one small thing. And it's not even a spoiler, so don't freak out, okay? Yeah. It's not. It's the fact that the reports that said Taylor Swift were not in this movie were absolutely true. She's not in the movie. So I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
To kind of just, calm everybody down, so to speak, or kind of alleviate their fears going into the movie for sure. Yeah. I
probably would have never watched it if that was a thing. I would have been like,
"Oh, go ahead." Yeah,
been like,
strong pass.
Screw the franchise. I'm done with it.
Yeah, Mike said Cobra Commander did make an appearance I saw in the old Transformers cartoon. So yeah, I don't know if they ever did it in cartoon form though. I don't think they ever did.
I think so.
I think they did it in comic book form. I'm not sure they ever did it in cartoon form, but I'd have to look it up. Yeah, I'd have to look for sure. But anyway, back to Deadpool and Wolverine. Like I said, that's the only thing I'll ruin. No Taylor Swift, so that's a good thing in my opinion. So thumbs up right there already. Again, I don't necessarily have a big thing against Taylor Swift. I know some people don't care for her, but to me, I just didn't like how the NFL kept shoving her in your face. That's more on them than it is Taylor.
You know what? Me hating her drives people mad, so I'm just gonna keep hating her.
At the same time, though, some of her lyrics and some of her new songs, I'm not a fan of. There's a lot of anti-God type lyrics and stuff in there, and that's all I'll say about that. So that to me is not really great.
Some of the titles of her songs are also a bit obnoxious.
A little obnoxious for sure. As for the rest of the film for Deadpool and Wolverine, it was pretty awesome. Not gonna lie to you. But I thought I'd jerk your chain a little bit there for sure. I mean, the film right now on Rotten Tomatoes has got an 81% critic rating and a 97% audience score. The last I checked, it could be up or down a little bit from this.
Oh my!
But that's better than the first two Deadpool movies. I think they were hovering around the 85 to 90% range, the first two films. So I think 90 was for Deadpool 1 and 85 was for Deadpool 2. So that's great to see. If audiences are loving it, that's always a great sign, no doubt about it. But to me, this movie was proof that audiences are not superhero movie fatigued. They're bad superhero movie fatigued, because this movie is a good movie. However, this story did feel a little bit like it may not have worked had it not been Deadpool. Like if you were to do this story with any other character, I felt like the film may not have been or it would have been another Marvel failure. You tried this with Ant-Man. I'm not so sure it would have worked. But again, with Deadpool, the way he is, I just think that made it work all the better. Being the only MCU film this year also does help, because you get a little bit of a break from the last MCU films we've been getting. And as we've mentioned, it's obviously they've not been the best quality as of late for sure. Mm-hmm. So hopefully their plan to release 3 films a year max will actually work out well moving forward. But they may be years where they only release 2 a year for sure. That being said, I enjoyed this movie, but I wanted more in a good way. I kind of left the film kind of going, I really wish I could see more, because it was like they gave you so much good stuff about, toward the third act, toward the end of the movie. I'm going, oh man, is this going to end already? It was one of those deals. But this film felt like an appetizer to a full course meal that's actually coming a little bit later, or possibly sooner maybe than we think. So in that regard, it was good. It kind of sets that stage. It only scratches the surface of what they can do with the multiverse concept, and which the film actually also does address the concerns of fans with the overall MCU quality as of late. They actually flat out say it's a bit of a down point for the Marvel universe right now. They flat out admit it in the movie, as well as they mentioned the concerns that the fans are having with the multiverse idea in general. A lot of fans don't like the idea that we got different, people jumping back and forth, or possibly bringing characters back to life and things like that. So they flat out address it in the movie, which I thought was really cool. Marvel Studios is literally telling you they are aware of your concerns. So that's something to be reassured with. The opening credits in this movie had me dying. There's a fight sequence and a dance sequence at the same time, which is hilarious, and I won't ruin it any more than that. But I'll just say the song choice, absolutely great.
Oh
And of
my
course,
God.
it's outstanding. And not only are the opening credits good, the end credits also made me very emotional as a fan of Marvel since 1998, back when all the movies really started. So they did a really good job of kind of just, I mean, it doesn't make you cry necessarily or anything like that, but just kind of gives you the feels a little bit about how this entire journey we've been going on for like the last 2 decades at this point. There is one post-credit scene in this movie. It's at the very, very, very end of the credits. Like I said, during the opening or the ending credits, there's like a bit of a montage type thing going on. But the end credit scene it's not earth-shattering to the overall MCU, but it is absolutely hilarious, and it ties into a gag earlier in the movie. So definitely stick around for that. It's definitely worth watching. And like I told Brandon before the show started, it's definitely laced with all sorts of profanity. It kind of made me blush a little bit, the end credit scene. So, but at the same time, this movie is definitely got all the the language for sure. It's definitely got all sorts of different derogatory terms and innuendos and all the stuff you would come to expect from Deadpool. So you're going to get that full bore. It's also very gory. So those of you who obviously, if you've seen the first 2 Deadpool films, you should definitely know that at this point it's going to be bloody. It's going to be violent in aspects. They definitely don't hold back on the R rating. For those of you worried about Disney holding back on that,
you're talking about. Deadpool 2 was a love story.
Yeah, fair. Good point. And this one's got some of that in it as well. Not as much as the first 2 films did, but Vanessa, who's played by Marina Baccarin, is still in this movie as well. And
she's got to be death. She's got to be death.
Well, I'll tell you that right now. No, but they do tie into the storylines that were told in the first 2 films, so it continues from that. But this is a little bit later on, so they obviously have some differences that they're going to have to go through in the storyline, which I won't ruin here. But the jokes are certainly hilarious. Certain jokes won't land with all audiences if you don't follow movie news like I do, though, because like I said, there are a lot of references to Disney buying out Fox, and like there's one reference to a character that shows up in a cameo about a potential movie coming on later. So again, if you don't necessarily know some of the stuff that's coming out with Marvel or some of the history of some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, which Deadpool references, real life stuff all the time. It's nothing new per se, but there's just certain jokes that may not land if you don't quite understand the reference. That's all I'll say about that. But they are the jokes for the nerdiest of nerds in the world for sure, and I happen to be one of them. Yeah, they are. Let's see. You do not have to have seen Loki or any TV stuff to understand this film, but it does help. There are certain references to Loki, the television show. The thing that you really need to see the most, though, is possibly like the last 2 Deadpool films and some of the earlier X-Men stuff, obviously with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, who've been in those other films. It does make a lot of sense to know those beforehand. But other than that, the stuff like from Loki, they pretty well explain to you everything you need to know. So it's not like you're going to go in there. If you're going in blind, it's not going to be a big detriment to the film. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are great as always, and hopefully they continue to be. I won't ruin anything, but the film does kind of end on a note where it's kind of up in the air. We'll have to wait and see. But
Hugh
I think we
is jacked for this movie, by the way.
and hence his name, Hugh Jackman, for sure. And there's even a few references to like Logan letting himself go a little bit or something, and then huh?
How old is he?
He's in his. I think he's like 55 or something.
I wish to God.
I know. Ryan Reynolds is in his upper 40s right now too, but yeah, it's insane what Hugh Jackman, what kind of shape he's been in for sure. Yeah, we may find out as soon as tomorrow whether or not we see these characters continue in the MCU moving forward. Because, like I said, we're going to be getting MCU panel at Hall H and Comic-Con, so we may find out whether or not these 2 guys will be continuing in the MCU moving forward. We'll have to wait and see. In that regard, this film does kind of stand on its own just a little bit. It definitely ties into the MCU. It definitely references the MCU and all this sort of stuff. And there's actually cameos and stuff that reference all that sort of stuff too. But at the same time, it does kind of still stand on its own in a multiverse sort of way. So in that regard, you don't have to see all the other MCU stuff either for that matter. It does help, like I said. But outside of Spider-Man No Way Home, I think this is the best movie that Marvel Studios has put out since Avengers Endgame. So if you're looking for something along the level of higher quality, this is it. Spider-Man No Way Home obviously played with the multiverse stuff. Doctor Strange Multiverse into Madness sort of did too. But this does that same sort of thing as well. But like I said, I'd give this a solid 8 out of 10. But I almost forgot too. Lots of cameos in this movie. And there are certain cameos that we kind of saw coming that we talked about here on the channel. There are certain cameos that we did not see coming. So you're going to be surprised, and I'm not going to tell you who, but I would say there's 5 or 6 big cameos that played big roles in the movie, more than you would expect. One minor huge cameo that was in the film for maybe 20 seconds, but it's still a huge cameo. And then there were multiple others kind of in the background of certain scenes as well from some previous films and things like that.
Is his deagles gold?
Yeah, they explain where all that come from too. So I initially thought that those pistols were kind of a reference to Face Off with Nicolas Cage's character.
Yeah, I did.
But
I was like, are they gold? I don't. That's wild.
yeah, so I highly recommend this if you're getting a chance to go to a theater. This is definitely worth the money if you're a fan of the Deadpool franchise. You're not going to be I guess disappointed when you leave the theater for sure. Like I said, I was a little conflicted when I left the theater just because, again, I wanted more. I didn't want it to stop. So I want to see these two guys come back. I really hope that's the case. And I think it is. Like I've said here on the channel before, I think these guys have big time futures in the MCU and it's not a one-off. But again, I won't ruin anything about the movie. Yeah, I just, I felt wanting more. And at the same time, a part of me was like, I thought this would maybe do far more stuff in the MCU to kind of like, expand the overall MCU. It maybe does here and there, and it sets up teases for sure. And there's actually one tease that actually sets up something maybe for Deadpool's future, which they may pay off later. They did not pay off in this film, so that kind of tells you right there. At least Ryan may come back. Yeah. So overall, I think my anticipation and my own expectations maybe led to a little bit of my disappointment. It was not the film's fault at all. I thought they did a great job. So yeah, 8 out of 10, best film since Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home. So. Hope you guys enjoy it this week, by the way. And once these guys see it, hopefully this weekend, maybe we'll do a spoiler discussion here on the channel next week. And if Aaron and Matt or whoever hasn't seen it yet, we'll just have them dip out for a few minutes. But yeah, so what are your guys' excitement levels for Deadpool and Wolverine going into this weekend, heading to the drive-in? I guess you guys are talking about.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see it.
Yeah,
it's been a long time since we enjoyed a movie.
So I can't wait. One of the things or criticisms that I heard was, I guess people didn't expect Wolverine to be so violent. And I go, I don't know if people have this misconception about Wolverine and his powers or how he got them. It's not a pleasant thing.
Did you not watch Logan? I mean, that was R-rated, and he was violent in that movie. He's violent in all the movies. It's just
but he has a very tragic. I mean, you got to think about what they did with him with the Weapon X program.
Yeah,
like. That was torture. Like they brainwashed him, they tortured the shit out of him, and then sent him to kill people.
Yeah, he was basically a mercenary or an assassin type thing, one of those deals. So yeah, I mean, of course he's going to be violent. Well, I mean,
same with Deadpool, but he became crazy after Weapon X, after what it did to him, after he experienced what it did to him. So like,
Mike had a question, hypothetical question: if a character from DC did cross over with a Marvel character, who would you want those two characters to be?
That happened, and it was Deadpool.
Oh, I'm sure. I will say
and he got a ring. Actually, he stole a ring from the Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, yeah, that'd be cool.
And it actually worked for him. It was hilarious.
I will say there are a few references to DC in this movie. I'll say that, but that's all I'll say about it. And Mike, there is actually rumors out there. I think it's a few years off, maybe 10 years at this point. But since James Gunn, who did the Guardians of the Galaxy films, is now running DC Studios, and Kevin Feige is still running Marvel Studios, there's actually rumors out there we may get a DC versus Marvel film at some point once DC builds itself back up again, and Marvel may reboot and things like that. So that could very well feasibly happen now, which we never thought could happen before. That's exciting.
Make it Wolverine and Deadpool, because I would love to see how Batman would try to counteract the healing factor of both of them. Not only that, but Wolverine's claws.
That'd be cool.
You know what I mean? Just to see how, or hell, I would love to see if Joker somehow came over to the Marvel universe.
Ooh, man.
You think about how sadistic Joker is. Marvel's villains, a lot of them are kind of straightforward and just overpowered. There's none really.
DC's got the better villains.
Psychologically,
built
like Joker.
I should say Batman has great villains. Spider-Man has great villains.
Yes, but okay, even Spider-Man, who I guess I don't know, that's more or less Iron Man. It takes Spider-Man and his villains. None of them are kind of like none of them are what Joker is. You know what I mean? So if you took Joker and dropped him in Spider-Man's world, what? As a teenager, the mind-bending things he would choices, situations he would put Spider-Man in.
Yeah.
But then you think about what kind of character growth that would be for Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Now, as for my two hypothetical characters, I'd probably want to see Captain America and Superman on the same team. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Two American, truth, justice, the American way type thing. Mike also asked, what about Wonder Woman versus Black Widow? Who wins?
Wonder Woman, she's still on Amazon.
Yeah, clearly there ain't no way Black Widow wins that.
The only difference is Black
She's
Widow has no
part
problem trying to kill her.
Yeah, she's part God. Yeah, Wonder Woman is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's actually a great YouTube channel out there, Mike. I don't know if you've heard about it. I can't remember the name of it. I have to send it to you. I have to find it. But where they literally take this exact situation where they will animate two characters from DC or Marvel and have them fight each other to see who would win in a real fight. So it's actually really cool to see. So, and other characters besides just Marvel, like Star Wars and things like that. So definitely worth watching.
Thor versus Superman.
Ah.
Hell, I'd put Hulk versus
Superman.
Well, I don't see.
You want to see Hulk?
If you want to say like Thor in the movies, Thor talked about how they just live longer. They're not impenetrable, like invulnerable.
He can still die.
He can still die. Superman's a little harder to kill. So
Superman
probably
is an alien at the end of the day. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
I think the Hulk could do it.
Oh, I think Hulk could beat the shit out of Superman. But that's one of those fights that would go on forever, just kind of like the whole Doomsday thing did. Difference is, I don't see Superman picking up Hulk to take him into outer space to try to kill him.
Yeah,
because I mean that's essentially what he did at Doomsday. But
the thing about Deadpool and Wolverine, I just really like those. Like I said, they drop little teases, like of maybe the future, and like I said, it's a small sample of what could come. Like I said, if they do this sort of thing in Avengers Secret Wars or Avengers 5 or whatever it might be, again, we're just scratching the surface. This multiverse thing, as much as everybody's like worried about it and afraid for it, I'm interested to get your thoughts next week on the multiverse concept after this movie. Because we saw in Spider-Man No Way Home. How did you feel like how they did it there with all the different Spider-Man and stuff?
I didn't have an issue with it.
Okay. Since they had all the background with the other movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was all continuity, so it all fit. I didn't have an issue with that at all. I thought that worked out well. I mean,
the writing to make that fit together was outstanding.
Yeah,
that's not easy to do.
No, because like you're pulling, but yeah, I mean, it worked though. It worked, and I mean, and it brought back two really good villains and one villain that kind of grew on you in that movie. Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of Jamie Foxx's character in the actual movie, but
yeah, the Spider-Man No Way Home did wonders for that
character. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, if Doc Ock and Green Goblin were great. I guess Goblin would be the only one you could comparably, in a sense, to Joker, but Joker didn't get to get his hands dirty all the time either. Yeah. Anyway,
Harley and Thugs, but yeah, but no, I'm just curious to get your guys' thoughts next week after you see how they use the multiverse in this. So I'm interested to see how that would be as well. And like I said, I know you were worried about them bringing back Wolverine, like because he died in Logan, right? The way they did it in this movie, I thought worked for me. I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts was going to be. And not only that, because of the way they brought back Wolverine in this, Kevin Feige, the head of the MCU, has stated now that because of the way they brought back Wolverine, it could potentially open the door to others. Let's hear what he has to say about this.
That's the key, right? Is how do you do it in a way that maintains what has come before in a great way? And we've been spending, the last 2+ years figuring that out for Wolverine. So what's to come, we'll see. I think we have figured it out for Wolverine. I think Hugh's appearance and starring role in this movie is a great sign that it can be done if great care is taken.
So he's not closing the door on Cap or Tony. Again, not saying that it'll happen, but I feel like, to me, if you're doing Avengers Secret Wars with the multiverse concept, how do you do that without your two biggest Avengers? You know what I mean? I understand you're building up new Avengers and things like that, but it just seems like it'd be too good to be true, if they got them back, you know what I mean? But
if they came back for like the big fight in the third act of the movie, but came back for that purpose from a different timeline to help, fine. But the whole goal is to push the next Avengers movie because those two characters are not going to be around.
Well, the characters will be, I think, but the actors maybe not, because there's definitely rumors out there that once the MCU does like a bit of a reboot after Secret Wars, they're going to recast everyone outside of maybe like Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, who's still maybe going on, or Tom Holland's Spider-Man is still young. But these Avengers who've been in there from the beginning, they're all probably going to get recast. But we're still going to get the characters interacting with the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and all this stuff we've not really got a chance to see before. So that's probably going to happen with the characters at least. But yeah, the actors will probably be done for good after this multiverse thing, because otherwise it's going to be even harder to bring them back without the multiverse concept. Sure.
The character, like what I'm saying is, the character of Captain America, sure, but Rogers, no. The character of Iron Man, sure, but Stark, no. That's what I'm saying. So if they came back for, like I said, if Stark and Rogers were pulled from different timelines to help in the big fight scene at the cool, fine, I'll take it. Okay. But after that, if there's going to be an Iron Man or an Iron Woman or Iron Heart or whatever, fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with bringing them in. I just kind of want them back too. You know what I mean? But, and maybe that's just me being selfish. This is why I want to hear your thoughts after you watch how they do Wolverine in this movie, and see if you think it worked, how it didn't work, and things like that. I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are for sure. Mike wanted to add into, what about Green Arrow versus Hawkeye? That one's a lot more fair. Fair fight.
Hawkeye, he's still a trained fucking killer. So Hawkeye.
Isn't it Green Arrow in certain?
Well, yeah.
Green Lantern, Green Arrow.
I know.
Green Lantern would kill Hawkeye in a heartbeat. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, well, doesn't Arrow use more trick arrows than Hawkeye does? Outside of the first Avengers movie,
Hawkeye was a little bit.
You really only see him use
not as much in the sequels.
Arrows. Yeah.
Wag.
I get your point.
And I don't know if they were in Echo.
No. I mean, the Hawkeye show, maybe he did a little bit more. Yeah, the Hawkeye show, he definitely did. But yeah, for sure.
Green Arrow uses a lot of trick arrows.
Yeah, and I would call that a
lot. It would come down to hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, I can see that. Sure, that's a good one though. Those two for sure.
Yeah.
But speaking of Marvel, like I said, Hall H and Comic-Con's going on right now. Obviously, we've got these new designs and stuff out on the show floor out there. For the Marvel logos and stuff, highlighting Deadpool and Wolverine as being released, including Miles Morales here, which is interesting to note here, kind of highlighting him a bit, obviously, on the Sony side of things. Miles Morales is doing well.
Wait a minute.
What?
Is that Madam?
Is that a female Galactic?
It does look like that. Yeah, so that one was definitely
up there in the E.
Yeah. So they cast Galactus for the MCU. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But yeah, I mean, I think there was a male Galactus.
Listen, after they did what they did with the first Galactus, I'll take any other one but that one. I mean, you could always say it's just one of his visages that he's using.
They cast that may be more of a comic book reference, because they have cast a male to play Galactus
in what?
In the MCU. So
wasn't Galactus in Silver Surfer?
Yeah, he was in Silver Surfer, but he was like a space cloud. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad. But no, Galactus in the MCU is going to look like the big, giant humanoid. So that's going to be different. So, but yeah, he's definitely in the Fantastic Four film coming out in 2025. But they've cast Ralph Ineson to play him. Now they did cast a female Silver Surfer. However, in the comics, there's multiple Silver Surfers.
There's multiple,
and that's fine. And even the one they cast, the female version, is the one who falls in love with the male version everybody knows and cares for in the comics. So we're probably going to get both of them at some point in the MCU. So I have no big problem with that personally. But yeah, so like I said, with Marvel coming to Hall H, like I said, they usually do this big panel, and then on Saturday night they're going to do another one where they literally will break down every single movie and possibly TV shows they probably got coming up for the next few years. We know that this year obviously was Deadpool and Wolverine. We got a few TV shows coming out over the next year as well. But when it comes to movies alone, we know next year Captain America Brave New World is coming out in February, which they just recently released a trailer for that, which was shown before Deadpool and Wolverine. If you've not seen it, you'll be able to watch it there. We also got the Thunderbolts coming out next year, as well as the Fantastic Four coming out next year as well. Blade, as of right now, is scheduled to come out in 2025, but I got a feeling it might get pushed back a little bit due to some of the writing people or the writers leaving, and I think directors have come and gone as well. So they may have to push it back a little further. But we thought we'd talk about some of our predictions of what Hall H.
Does anyone else get a lag?
Yeah, maybe a little, but not too much.
A little bit.
But anyway, we ain't nothing we can do about it.
Like, you guys have out a lot.
Okay, well, maybe
you might have to refresh.
Yeah, might have to drop out and refresh here. Yeah. So, like I said, so we'll go over the movies that we think are going to get announced and all this sort of stuff. But I think before we get into actually the movies being announced, the Fantastic Four is officially filming now. They just started, and I believe they're going to go into full production like as of next week. And so I expect that we're going to actually probably get the cast coming out here on the Hall H panel to introduce themselves to the crowd.
Yep.
And I don't know, we might get some actual costumes and things like that. Maybe I don't know if they'll be wearing them or not, or if we'll just kind of like maybe get a look at the designs for the new costumes and things like that. So I think that'll be really cool. So when it comes, before we move on to that, the cast themselves just put out this photo of them on set getting ready to go in front of camera. So it's good to see them all together here for sure. A couple of new faces that I've not yet seen before, but it'd be good to see that. Now, the one here on the far right who's playing Johnny Storm I think it was him on the far right, was in the Quiet Place Day 1 film. It just came out. He did a great job in that movie. Looking forward to see him there for sure. But when it comes to the movies that are going to be announced, I'm going to kind of take some guesses here, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. The first film I think that they're obviously going to be discussing is probably Blade. I think they're going to push it back to 2026 at this point due to the issues that I've just talked about. So that's probably going to be coming as an announcement. Again, that would mean 3 movies next year, which is kind of where they wanted to settle in on anyway. So I think that makes a lot of sense. We're going to hold the TV shows off for later because they may wait for D23 to announce those. But if they talk about the TV shows, we'll also discuss them next week on the channel as well. As for the movies, I think we're getting a Shang-Chi sequel.
Shang-Chi. You want to try that again?
Shang-Chi sequel.
Shang-Chi.
I've heard in the movie they called him Shang-Chi, I believe. I thought. I could be wrong. But anyway, I digress. And the rumored title is Wreckage of Time. That may or may not be the title, obviously. But a sequel to Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi is definitely coming up before too much longer. They've already confirmed that it's going to be happening. We just don't know the release date or anything like that. But we may get confirmation for that movie coming up at Comic-Con. I also think we're going to be getting an announcement of Thor 5 as they teased in Thor Love and Thunder. And it could potentially be about him and Hercules as well, or they could tie it into the multiverse stuff a little bit further here, but they definitely at least have to wrap up the Hercules tease that they did in the post-credit scene of the last film. So that was definitely going to be coming, in my opinion. I think we're going to possibly be getting a Scarlet Witch film, even though they kind of teased at the end of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness that she's kind of died, but at the same time kind of cocooned herself from being hurt at the end of that film, as you saw that flash of light from her witch powers and things like that. So I think in that regard, we'll be getting a movie from her or a television series, but I think it's going to be a movie since we already got WandaVision. Also, I think we're going to be getting an announcement for World War Hulk that I think they're going to be setting up in Captain America Brave New World coming up in February with the Red Hulk. And we obviously got Hulk and at the end of She-Hulk coming back, introducing his son Scar. So I think that is, again, we're building out more Hulks in this universe to eventually build up to this film, in my opinion, the adaptation they're going to be doing for that. As well as I think we're going to get the announcement. It may not happen at Comic-Con because this is a Sony production, but Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland returning, possibly introducing Miles Morales in this movie. We'll have to wait and see. But we'll be getting him.
I think that would be a dope thing.
Spider-Man.
I mean,
it's coming. We just don't know when yet.
The color of the logo.
Well, these are all fan made. Just so you know, these are all fan made logos. These are not official logos, but I think this is just my predictions what they're going to get. So I pulled up some logos. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I'm obviously Spider-Man will probably about not be remembered by MJ or Ned or any of his friends and family or anything like that. Obviously, you don't have much family left now after the last film. But so, yeah, they're going to probably be announcing that at some point, whether that be at a Sony thing later down the line or whatnot. But Spider-Man 4 is definitely coming down the pipe here, as well as I think we're going to get an announcement of Midnight Suns. The video game obviously just recently was released, not to a whole lot of acclaim. That video game didn't go very well. But at the same time,
a lot better than people say.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But obviously, there's rumors going around of a Ghost Rider film or a television series coming into the MCU at some point. With the multiverse stuff, they had a Ghost Rider films with Nicolas Cage years ago, but
wasn't there a series?
Not yet. Well, he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, okay.
There was a version. It was a different Ghost Rider than the one Nicolas Cage played. But there's multiple Ghost Riders, and with the multiverse, you could definitely do that. Also, with the movie of Blade coming out at some point, that could very well tie into this as well. Doctor Strange is a part of the Midnight Suns at one point as well. There's all sorts of different characters that could fit into this. More of the
Ghost Rider meet Deadpool.
Yeah, more of the like zombie, like darker side of the MCU. The supernatural type stuff could be in Midnight Suns.
That could bring in the Howling
I
Force.
thought
That'd be dope.
The Midnight Suns was a DC thing.
They probably got something similar, but that's not this. Yeah,
I know it's a Marvel thing for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Suicide Squad and Thunderbolts. They're kind of similar, just in different companies for sure.
He's Googling it.
He's Googling. Gotcha. There was something known as the Creature Commandos, which we're going to talk about in just a minute.
Yeah, Creature Commandos. That's what
for DC. That's kind of a monster type thing, team up thing.
Yeah.
So it might be something similar.
Yeah, Marvel had one too, right? The Howling Force, right? Or
yeah, I think you're right.
It's with Blade was part of it.
Okay. You're more versed on the actual comic books. I'm more versed on the movies and stuff and the TV series and things like that. But so yeah, you guys, while you guys Google that, I'll move on. We're also probably going to be getting an announcement for the Young Avengers, which we have seen multiple teases for, especially at the end of Hawkeye and the Marvels. We've gotten teases with that, with like Kate Bishop, Kamala Khan, all sorts of younger characters we're going to be introducing into the MCU to have a young version of this this big superhero team for sure. So that could be fun. I know there's probably going to be a lot of people saying, oh, we don't need a bunch of kids running around being superheroes, but I think it could possibly work out pretty well. We'll just have to wait and see how they do it. But I think we're also going to be getting Doctor Strange 3. That announcement, we know that film is coming at some point. Whether or not it happens before or after Secret Wars is where all these films are going to fall. I think all these are going to take place before the big final payoff with Secret Wars and the final Avengers film. Yeah, so I think Doctor Strange 3. Black Panther 3 is another one. I think we're going to get that one with Shuri and Nakia and Okoye probably training up the future young T'Challa, possibly, was rumored to be the storyline plot for that. So we'll possibly be getting that as well. What did you find, Brandon?
It's called the Howling Commandos is what they were called.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They were in Captain America 1. They were more of a World War II type thing, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah. DC had something similar to that too with Wonder Woman, where they had like World War One, so something like that. Yeah. But yeah, less monster related for sure. But after Black Panther 3, I think we could potentially be getting either a Guardians of the Galaxy 4 announcement, probably not so much as potentially a legendary Star-Lord announcement. I think will be coming with Chris Pratt returning, as they teased at the very end of the last Guardians of the Galaxy film. He'll probably come back as a solo one-off film with just him as the star, kind of living on Earth, because since he's kind of a fish out of water on his own home planet, since he's rarely home on Earth for sure. So I think we're going to get that. And the big announcements, I think, for Comic-Con are going to be these final ones here. I think we're potentially going to get a television series or a movie at some point called Captain America. I don't know if it'll be The Last Mission or what, but I think it'll be Captain America going back and putting the stones back at the end of Avengers Endgame. We're going to see the process where he took back all the Infinity Stones and put them back. And I don't know, again, if it's going to be a TV series or not, but I highly think it's going to be one of those situations, especially when you put the Soul Stone back, a soul for a soul. Could you potentially get Black Widow back in that regard? We'll have to wait and see, because you had to give her up in a sacrifice to get the stone. So we'll have to see if that happens or not. Maybe you can choose a soul to get back.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know, but that's definitely a big time rumor out there with Chris Evans coming back for at least one more one-off here, maybe an Avengers film or two. And that leads us into, what I think Avengers 5 is going to be. Avengers 5 was originally titled to be the Kang Dynasty. But obviously with Kang the Conqueror, the actor, getting into a bit of legal trouble in real life with his one-time girlfriend at the time, he's now been kicked to the curb and he's been fired. The actor has. Now, they could possibly recast Kang for the next Avengers stuff, and maybe he'll play a little bit lesser of a role than they originally thought, or he could be the main villain. But I think Avengers 5, and this has got nothing to do with the fact that I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. This could be the case even before I saw that movie, so this is not a spoiler. But I think Avengers 5 will be retitled Avengers versus X-Men. And I think we're going to be getting the Fox X-Men and the multiverse coming into contact with the Avengers from the MCU. And it's going to be Civil War times 100 with all these characters going against each other here. I think that's going to be Avengers 5, which will lead into, obviously, Avengers Secret Wars. I think it will be the final payoff for this entire saga, much like Infinity War and Endgame were. This is just a sample of what Avengers versus X-Men could be like if you get back some of the old actors, even some of the newer first-class actors from X-Men, and get potentially back some of the MCU Avengers who may not be with the franchise anymore coming back as well. So again, you sign back Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., you can get multiple movies with these guys with Avengers and this big payoff here. So maybe 3 or 4 films to kind of pay off all this stuff at the very end of this saga here. And I think the big thing will be Avengers Secret Wars. It could even be split into 2 films. So we could be potentially looking at 3 Avengers films coming up here within the next 4 to 5 years. So that's my predictions for the MCU at Hall H and Comic-Con. What are your guys' thoughts on all of this? Do you think that's a potential? Maybe too much?
News on all of those?
When they release a slate, man, they usually give us a few years out.
Like, I
So-
look at my kids' ages right now. And I'm still got, that's a lot of merch.
They're saying Avengers Secret War, Avengers 5 is set to start shooting next year, early next year. So if that's the case, we're looking at a 2026 release. That's when it's currently scheduled. So Avengers Secret Wars could be 27 and 28 or whatever. So that's only 4 years off. That's not very far.
Yeah.
All this stuff
We're
will be in the
getting
next 4
old.
years.
Shut up, Eric.
I know. And I'm just hoping, I'm sitting there going, please, Lord, let me live. Let me live long enough to see all this nerdy goodness. But that's just me. So, yeah. But so with that sort of stuff, do you think it's a good plan? Do you think
We
Yeah.
said we wanted new shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess, you know.
definitely new, some new characters mixed with some old, some bankable characters that they know will make money.
It's not that squirrel character.
Oh, and that's from DC though. You're talking about
Oh, that was
Chip.
DC.
Put some respect on Chip's name. He's an awesome.
First of all,
green lady.
Squirrel Girl is like
Yeah,
first
that
of all,
one.
Squirrel
Squirrel
Girl
Girl.
is legit.
Yeah, Squirrel
Let's get
Girl.
that out the way. All right.
No.
I haven't heard
She
anything
could've-
about a Squirrel Girl.
that's- What did
She
she
is
do?
one
Did
of
she
the
get bit
characters-
by a radioactive squirrel? Like,
Yes, she is
Really?
one of the characters
It worked for a spider. Why not?
who can
Oh,
take
no.
on Thanos. All right.
Fair
she
enough.
can take on Thanos?
Yeah. People, yeah. One of those things
I find that hard to believe.
no.
No,
No.
I mean, hey man, it's comic books, man. There's some weird stuff. Okay, we could go down a rabbit hole of far weirder stuff they've ever put on film.
There's a
for
dude
sure.
in Suicide Squad who his powers are his taking his body parts off.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
The detachable kid.
Nathan-
So a
DDK.
radioactive squirrel you is absurd.
Yeah. Hey, Thor. There was a frog Thor. Okay,
Yeah, yeah. Thor was a frog.
which made an appearance in Loki, by the way, for just about 2 seconds. But yeah, great. Comic books are weird, but they're for the weird, you know.
Turn into a frog.
Nah.
Yeah. It's outstanding stuff. So yeah, that's my predictions for Marvel at Comic-Con this year. We'll find out. We'll talk about all the confirmed news probably next week. We'll probably talk a little bit about that. We're going to be talking about SummerSlam next week. The NFL's first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game is going to be next week. We'll talk about
Wait,
that
what?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the NFL's
Football's
first
first
Hall of Fame
game.
game next Thursday night on the, I don't know what channel it's on, but yeah. So we got a lot of stuff coming up here on the channel for sure. But when it comes to Comic-Con, one more thing I want to talk
Comic-Con?
about. Yeah, I know.
Matt, we-
Shut up. You try to do this, all right? But anyway, Comic-Con. Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention DC. DC does not have a panel this year. However, there is they have a Penguin panel for the upcoming TV series that's a sequel to the Batman franchise. But there was a report that came out yesterday that the DC Studios did have plans to break some news at the convention, though, despite the fact that James Gunn, who is currently filming Superman, who did not have time to come to Comic-Con because of that, he previously stated they would not have any news. We got a little bit of news already from DC Studios, and the first thing was we got the reveal of the official logo for DC Studios now. Which kind of is a callback to the old DC logo to a degree, which to me kind of evokes this old school vibe of, more comic booky material, not so grounded, more of like, just the bright, colorful DC comics. So I'm a little encouraged to see that. Obviously, MCU has their own like an intro logo and stuff at the beginning of their films. I'm sure DC is going to have the same thing now. So yeah, I think this looks great for the new studio. So I'm hoping it'll actually mean good things coming down the line. But again, it's just a logo. It's not a big deal, all things considered. But I just thought I'd show this here on the channel since it was revealed. And with that, we obviously know the DC slate right now, which is why DC is not going to be. Oh crap! I didn't even put that up, did I? My apologies. Or did I? Did I put that up?
Yes. Wait. No, we've never seen that.
My bad. There it is.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
That is
So, yeah.
like the old school.
So before we move on, my bad.
So good.
Yeah, there's sometimes I'll get to talking and I forget to pull up the image of the video. So I'm trying to get better at that to kind of, But anyway, it's a lot of work over here to get all this stuff going. But anyway, there's the DC Studios logo. Like I said, I think it evokes that old school feel. So yeah, it's good to see there. But like I said, we also know the DC slate for now. We already announced it like earlier, like I think in January of this year. Creature Commandos. Yeah, Superman. Obviously next year. A lot of these don't have dates just yet. Creature Commandos comes out December this year, and Peacemaker is being filmed already. Got the Lanterns TV show. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow will be coming out in 2026 in June. Waller, which is kind of a spinoff of the Suicide Squad, which is kind of where Creature Commandos is too, already in production by the time they did the reboot. Booster Gold and Blue Beetle kind of know each other in the comics, a bit of a team up thing. They're probably going to be doing that as well. Batman Brave and the Bold is going to be coming down the line here. We're introducing the DCU's Robin, which is Damian Wayne, not Dick Grayson, as well as the new Batman will be in there as well. The Authority, which will get their introduction in the Superman movie, will be getting them next year, and they're going to get their own film at some point. Swamp Thing is going to get their own film as well. Paradise Lost, which is a TV show centered around Themyscira, the island of the Amazons, and Wonder Woman. We're going to be getting the origin story there. So we know all this stuff is coming for DC, so they're not going to be introducing a lot of new projects. However, we did get our first look at the Creature Commandos animated show that's going to kick off the new DC universe in December on HBO Max. And we got our first trailer for that was released today. So I thought we'd look at that real quick too and let you guys check it out. So here we go.
General Flag. This is Belle Reeve. For over 50 years, only those at the uppermost levels are aware of its existence.
I thought Congress put a stop to all Task Force X activities.
Congress said you can't use human prisoners. These assholes aren't human.
You smiling?
Yes.
Sarcastic.
What?
He's pissing!
This ain't for kids, I'll tell you that.
This is your new task force.
It's been oh so long since G.I. Robot has sent Nazis back to hell.
Let's call it Task Force M. M for Monster. Also known as...
All right. So yeah. So I mean, like I said, James Gunn has said that Creature Commandos is it's the first project in the new DC universe. However, he's officially stated that Superman, coming out in July of next year, is the official start of the new DCU. So this is kind of a prelude, as it were. And again, Creature Commandos and Waller and Peacemaker were all kind of already in development with James Gunn before the new DC reboot. So some of this is going to be kind of carrying over from the Suicide Squad film that James Gunn also started there or did the second film for. So you can obviously tell with Waller being in this, recruiting new monsters and stuff for her Task Force M or Task Force X. So that'll be a thing as well. So the thing I really love about the animated stuff in DC's universe, they said that anybody who is cast in the animated world will play their alter egos in live action. So Rick Flag Sr. here in the yellow, who was obviously the father of Rick Flag, who was killed in the second Suicide Squad film, will be making an appearance here. And he will also be making an appearance in live action, played by Frank Grillo, who played Crossbones in the MCU in Civil War, in the upcoming Superman movie this year. So again, that connective tissue is already happening here. So this will tie in to the overall stuff that James Gunn's got going on in the live action stuff. So with that being entitled the first chapter, Gods and Monsters, this fits in nicely. So nice little fun animated show to kind of kick things off in December. So I'm looking forward to it. What are your guys' thoughts? I know Dave or Brandon's definitely watched some DC animated stuff in the past. And usually that's where they thrive. So what are your thoughts?
Those are the best stuff. So at least this is, this shows the more grittier side of DC, really. Like, yeah, you get Batman who's dark and brooding, but like not many characters swear like that on screen.
Oh no,
in the DC movies. So this will be pretty cool. And hopefully then like it'll open the door for better live action movies.
Yeah, I hope so too. I trust James Gunn. His storytelling in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies were really good. And I like the Suicide Squad movie he did as well. I thought that was actually an improvement over the last one that they did with Will Smith. Nothing against Will Smith. I thought he did a great job in that movie. And of course, Harley Quinn with Margot Robbie was great. I don't know if we're going to get I'm assuming Harley Quinn will get recast like a lot of other characters are going to be. We'll have to wait and see. However, I think that would be one I'd be okay with if they carried over from the DCEU. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this stuff looks great to me. And on top of that, we also know, like I said, there's a Penguins panel coming up at DC in Comic-Con. as well. I think there's rumors we're going to get another trailer for that on Saturday, as well as we may get more information about Kite Man and Harley Quinn, another animated series that they're doing. Kite Man is obviously, I think, airing now on Max, and Harley Quinn season 5 will be coming up soon too. Which, if you've not watched, by the way, it's kind of along the lines of Deadpool. Very ornery, very gory, very not for kids, and is voiced by Kaylee Cuoco from The Big Bang Theory, who played Penny over there. So definitely a fun show for sure. But like I said, not for children. Very fun though, all things considered, for animation. It's not all for just kids nowadays. Animation's got some great stuff. So yeah, that'll pretty much do it for the Comic-Con coverage and all the stuff I got for movies. So yeah, so all sorts of stuff going on here. So we'll have more of that, like I said, next week, probably when we get the actual announcements from Comic-Con. Most of them will probably take place on Saturday. So if there's stuff that we talked about, we will talk about them here on the channel too. So any other thoughts on that stuff?
No.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Other than, long as it'd be nice to see if some of this stuff is going to happen for sure, and when. We'll get dates with stuff, I should say.
Yeah, a lot of the movies, especially with MCU now, the DCU, they've already said that they're not going to start doing production stuff until the scripts are right first. So I think they're going to take their time, which is something the DCEU did not do. They tried to rush stuff. So I think taking your time getting the story right, because James Gunn said when he rebooted it, he said, story is king. We have to do that first before anything else. So that right there gives me signs that it's going to be a good reboot and not just.
And that gives me hope that they'll finally do the Green Lantern right.
I agree with you there. And we are going to
stay away from politics.
Well, and that's another thing about Deadpool Wolverine that I did not mention. It's not woke. It's not. I mean, there's some references to current day culture and things like that, but there's nothing overtly like, oh, look, it's in your face. You got to accept the narrative. There's none of that in there. So again, a nice refresher just to kind of go in. You're going to enjoy it. So just enjoy it, guys. I highly, think you're going to love it. So
I feel like DC should treat the Green Lantern movie like their Moby Dick, because it's the one that just
the one that got away.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Fantastic Four in Marvel right now. They've had a hard time with it. Now, granted, the Marvel Studios have never tried it. They're going to get their opportunity next year. We're going to see what they do with it. But yeah, up to this point, Fox did not do a good job with it, which is why they partially had to sell.
Which is weird, because you nailed the X-Men. I don't know.
There were certain aspects of the Fantastic Four that went really well, but overall they weren't great.
Yeah, the last film that they did just didn't hit right. I mean, when they had Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, and that first one that they did, that was really good.
The first one with
Doom was awesome in that one.
Sequel didn't do so well, and then they did a reboot with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan. That movie was awful. Oh man, it was worse than the first two they tried.
Which is weird, because Michael B. Jordan then became one of Marvel's greatest villains.
Yeah, and Killmonger. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that was great.
Still
So,
don't think he,
hey,
I
there's
still feel like
redemption
he
for
wasn't that
everybody.
wrong. I feel like he still had a point. What he did, the reason why he did what he did, justified. It's the way he executed it all. Is the fucked up part.
Well, it just kind of goes back to that story of redemption too, because Chris Evans was Johnny Storm, got redeemed as Captain America, and then we had who you just mentioned. There was a few others too. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool alone in Origins Wolverine.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about
and
that.
then he got resurrected and did a much better job the second go around. So
I think
yeah,
I
so
blocked that part out. It was so bad.
I know, yeah. I mean, only when Deadpool references is it worth watching again. But yeah, thank God they didn't seal his mouth shut. So you don't want to do that for sure. It'll tick fans off. So yeah, that's all the movie news stuff. And as Mike mentioned, politics suck. And nice segue. Thank you for that. We are going to be moving now into the news and politics segment of the show. So nice talking to you, Mike. See you next week, possibly for the wrestling
Hey,
segment.
Mike, before you go, Kamala wants to get rid of the child tax credit. So you might want to think about politics, at least for the election. But
yeah, you might think about voting Trump in that regard. But for sure, we're going to get into that too. So if you're interested, stick around. But if not, I understand. All right, guys. So with that being said, let's get into some of the crazier things in the real world. And that is, of course, the news and politics. All right. So apparently last week we talked about J.D. Vance is now Donald Trump's running mate. And apparently, since that's been announced, apparently the attacks have now begun against J.D. Vance to try to discredit him. And apparently, first of all, did you hear about the couch hoax or the couch thing that they're attacking him on. Apparently, this is the timeline of events. Some guy tweeted that JD Vance wrote about having sex with a rubber glove stuffed in between the cushions of a couch in Hillbilly Elegy, which was a movie and a book he wrote, and it was a joke in the book or in the movie. Okay, well, people believe it because it's a coming of age story, not that preposterous that a horny teen would try this, right? So it goes viral. Memes about JD smashing a couch spread like wildfire, right? So the Associated Press fact checks the whole thing with the headline, quote, "No, JD Vance did not have sex with a couch." But they quickly deleted the article because while they determined that the original tweet was a fabrication, they can't verify that he definitely never had sex with a couch. So now they're trying to say he was screwing a couch.
Listen, I'm going to be real candid. Hold on. I'm going to be real candid for a second.
Wait a minute, Brandon.
Not like that. But you don't know this.
I
don't know. I don't know what you did. As a teenage boy,
we've all had weird experiences
where it would brush up against something, and you're like, "Hold on."
I mean, I didn't expect you to get that personal, but
I'm not saying you did it, but there's a brief moment where it was like,
all right,
like,
all right.
You roll over in your bed, and you slip between the wall and the mattress. You're like, "Oh, bro, that cold air coming through right there." Okay.
I mean,
cool.
I mean, puberty is a thing. I mean, that is something we all have to deal with. But
it's something I think only guys really would understand. Sorry, Miranda.
But it's like, I mean, of all things,
like the washer, dryer, none of that.
Warm blanket. I don't know.
I guess it's just men. I guess.
This is a conversation for Dragon's Den after dark.
Yeah.
There's no like, you don't cuddle with a pillow. You move a certain way. You're like, hold on.
But on top of this, apparently JD Vance, they're digging up stuff he talked about up to 3 years ago from 2021.
Obviously,
and
yes.
This is a quick recap of that from Megyn Kelly discussing how JD Vance once called single, or maybe not even single, but women who've never had children, cat ladies, and apparently the left is freaking out over this. So let's listen to what she has to say.
Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show. As the Democratic Party ousts President Joe Biden and elevates Vice President Kamala Harris to the top of its ticket without a single vote having been cast for her in that role, in just a matter of hours, the media suddenly turning all of its focus seemingly to Senator JD Vance, Trump's running mate. Donald Trump's number 2 coming under intense criticism for comments he made 3 years ago about, quote, childless cat ladies, because this is what Americans who can't pay their mortgages care about. Senator Vance is here to respond to this controversy, but first we want to start by walking you through how it all began. Going back now to July 2021, Mr. Vance had just launched his campaign for senator in the great state of Ohio, and he gave a speech to a conservative organization called the Intercollegiate Studies Institute. This was a speech essentially about declining birth rates, and they're bad, by the way, in the United States. They're at a 17-year low, and they continue to go in the wrong direction, and what it means for the future of this country. Mr. Vance talked about how he wanted to see the Republican Party as a pro-family party. He discussed the importance of children and brought up the fact that many top Democratic leaders don't have any kids, questioning what kind of a message the party as a whole is sending to young Americans. Take a listen.
I want to take aim at the left, specifically the childless left, because I think the rejection of the American family is perhaps the most pernicious and most evil thing that the left has done in this country. Consider all of the next gen of the Democrat Party. The names are obvious. They're well-known people. Kamala Harris, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who's now the Secretary of Transportation, Cory Booker, AOC. Think all these people. They're different. They come from different walks of life, different parts of the country. What is the one thing that unites every single one of them? Not a single one of them has any children. Look, a lot of people are unable to have kids for very complicated and important reasons. There are people, of course, for biological reasons, medical reasons, that can't have children. The target of these remarks is not them. It's important to point that out. It is one thing to recognize that there are people who don't have children. It's one thing to recognize that there are people who don't have children through no fault or choice of their own. but it's something else to build a political movement invested theoretically in the future of this country when not a single one of them actually has any physical commitment to the future of this country. Kids are the ultimate way that we find healthy people, at least I think, self-meaning in life. We should treat this as a crisis in this country. And we should send the signal to the culture that we are the pro-family party and we're going to back it up with real policy.
Now, because Mr. Vance named names in his speech, it caused some headlines at the time, mainly because Vice President Harris is not a mother of her own biological children, but she's a stepmother. At the same time, Secretary Buttigieg did not have any children, but about a month later, he adopted twin babies. So a few days after those remarks, back in 2021, Mr. Vance went on Tucker Carlson's show on Fox to address some of the blowback. And that's when he made the comments about the childless cat ladies. Watch.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children.
But they want to control your children.
Well, the Harris team recirculated comments this week, leading Democrats and the media, the same media currently rewriting history to tell us Kamala Harris was never the border czar, to immediately pile on,
get into in a minute.
On cue. On Tuesday, Hillary Clinton shared it on X and sarcastically wrote, "What a normal, relatable guy who certainly doesn't hate women having freedoms. Literally, your husband has been accused of repeated sexual assaults. So take a seat, madam."
Yeah.
On Wednesday, actress Jennifer Aniston weighed in, writing, "I truly can't believe this is coming from a potential VP of the United States," and urged Senator Vance to think about his own daughter, hoping that she might never need IVF, which she accused Mr. Vance of being against, which, as we pointed out yesterday, is not true. And it did not end there. Watch.
How dare you? You never had a baby. Your wife had a baby. You know who else didn't have kids? George Washington, the father of our nation. Like Kamala, he raised Martha's children.
Because they invalidate even the idea of women who use IVF to get pregnant, or women who don't have children, or women who are stepmoms. Like, none of those are valid women to them. Those women don't matter. They're trying to reinforce this message that the only valid version of America is the America where white women didn't leave the home.
My kids are older. Does that make me childless? I want to qualify.
So obviously, like I said, the left just freaked the hell out about this. But if you listen to his comments in context, which the left is obviously leaving out whenever they're, attacking him for the childless cat lady hoax, is that they're dubbing it now, he didn't say anything wrong. I mean, nothing about it, for sure. So, I mean, I don't understand why this has become such a thing, but it also had people on the left talking about how, well, JD Vance was clearly just trying to make his wife intentionally mad so he could go sleep on his couch. Get it? That's the first joke. So, I mean, guys, this is just stupid. Of all the things to come at the right for, I mean, get better material for sure. Jordan Harrison says she sucks, mouth for sure. Yeah, well, I guess she's talking about Kamala, which we're going to get into some of that stuff here in a little bit. So just hang in there, Jordan, jumping the gun.
I kind of look at his comments and kind of think there's nothing more annoying than somebody coming up or walking up to some parents and being like, "Oh, you're not raising your children right, or you should be teaching them this, or you should be teaching them that." And it's like, do you have kids? Where are your kids?
Yeah, that's
if I'm not doing it right, why aren't you doing it the right way?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's kind of what he's pointing out about how all these people trying to tell you how to live your life don't have kids. Now, like you said, Kamala Harris was a stepmother, apparently. Okay, fair. But we're talking about Pete Buttigieg.
Maybe.
Pete Buttigieg, coincidentally adopted a month later. Was that a political move on his part too, or was that something he always had planned? It just kind of makes you at least question that. Did he only get them because he was criticized for not having children? That's a question to at least consider. But again,
adoption does take a long time, so that was probably in the tanks for
it may be.
That.
And I'm not saying that's exactly, but it's worth a thought. I mean, again, he's just talking about how the left is anti-family They're like, we'll give government handouts, but we don't care if the father stays in the home. Don't have kids, go have that abortion. It's okay. You do you, you live your best life, which again, there's nothing wrong with being single without kids. I'm that way right now. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't be opposed to the idea if it ever happened, but at the same time, there isn't anything inherently wrong with it. However, the right's just trying to say that the family structure has always been the norm and something to strive for, not something to just trash and be like, it's not the way you should do things. Being married and having kids is a good thing. In the real world, they're trying to frame it as it's evil or it's not living your best life, and that's just simply not true. You guys could speak to that. You guys are married with kids. I mean, clearly, you guys know more about that than I do, and I even understand that. It's just something that is the American way of life, and they're just trying to change that ideology, and it's not cool. But I just thought I'd bring that up because it does tie into a little bit of a few other things I wanted to talk about before we get into the big news. The big news of the week was obviously Joe Biden. After Friday, we actually reported that Joe Biden was possibly going to be stepping down from running in the race for the 2024 presidential election. And he did just that on Sunday this last week, despite the fact
he's still president, right?
Right.
We haven't seen him.
Yeah. He despite the fact that literally before this weekend or this last weekend, he was saying this sort of things at his rallies.
Folks, you probably noticed there's a lot of speculation lately. What's Joe Biden going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? Here's my answer. I am running, and we're going to win. I'm not going to change it. Folks.
Yeah, so he was literally telling everybody, I'm staying in the race. I'm in it to win it. We're going to beat Donald Trump. When you get back down, you get knocked down, you get back up. That whole garbage he was saying.
I heard or seen or read or something that Kamala threatened him with the 25th Amendment if he didn't drop out of the race.
Yeah, they definitely ousted him, which we're going to talk a little bit about. Harrison also said, people are reading too much into one single word and not the whole speech. Some of these women are just crazy. Whoopee nuts. I think that's how you wanted me to say that. But anyway, so yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what the left does. They take one word like bloodbath. Trump said there'd be a bloodbath, but he was talking about the automobile industry and the economic ramifications of it being a bloodbath. Not that there was going to be a bloodbath if he didn't win the election. So this is what they do day in, day out, week to week here. But like I said, we also had, Joe Biden saying all this stuff about how he was going to stay in the race. And then he dropped out via a tweet. He didn't even do this on video or on audio. His campaign staff probably put this out without him even probably knowing or what was in the letter. To be totally honest with you, this was probably all typed
because he don't sign his name like that either.
Exactly, which led to a lot of people speculating whether or not Joe Biden was actually the one who wrote this letter, because the top box was obviously the way he signed the letter, and the bottom boxes are where he signed letters and things before, and it's different. He never once has ever underlined his last name, and he always puts the junior at the end, and it definitely doesn't look like the junior at the end of the top one. So it had a lot of people speculating whether or not Joe Biden even wrote this letter. So again, you can believe that what you will. I mean, people are going to, theorize whether or not that letter or that signature, which you can see right there, is definitely different than the ones that he signed before. So right there, it leads people to think that there are people who forced him out and he didn't necessarily want to do it, which we know he didn't. He flat out was defiant the last few weeks, talking about they're not going to push me out. They're not going to do that to me. I'm running. I'm the candidate. I got 14 million people who voted for me in the Democratic primaries. I'm the candidate for the party. I'm the leader. But here we are.
If you think about it.
Yeah, which we're going to get into.
How really he wasn't in charge of what? Like, he was just the guy who was in front of the fucking camera.
Absolutely, it was. He's definitely been a puppet for the Obama or whoever's pulling the strings there in the Democratic Party, the elites of that party. Not to mention, we had the Democrat establishment and all the party members talking about how, he's as sharp as a tack. He's fit for the job. There's no reason for him to step down for the last many, many months and years.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
This guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game. His mental acuity is great.
This is a very sharp president.
This is a man that's on his game.
President Biden is absolutely fit.
There's not a problem.
He's sharp, he's fit, he's always answering questions. He is on the ball.
He was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There's no doubt in my mind that the president is
I wish their pants really did catch on fire.
To have a strong,
they lied.
Completely mentally sharp.
He's at the top of his game.
Look at you looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine if these people's pants actually lit on fire, like you said, when they lied? They would be changing draws left and right, man. It's insane to me. But you know, our new nominee, Kamala Harris, from the looks of things, she's just as complicit in these lies as well. Because let's not forget, she's been peddling the same lie, talking about how he's fit, and you know, we don't need me to step in because he's our president. But let's just trust her now after she's lied about Biden's cognitive abilities for 4 years, along with the rest of the Democrats for sure. Not only that, was this the plan all along? This is a video from back in 2020 when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were running, and Joe Biden literally predicted exactly how it went. And he said that if we come to a disagreement or something, I'll develop a disease and I'll step down.
But all kidding aside,
the first lady to be told me she holds them for you.
yes, she does. But not with she and Kamala become friends.
Yeah.
But all kidding aside, it's a matter of the thing. We are simpatico on our philosophy of government and simpatico on how we want to approach these issues that we're facing. And so I don't have, and when we disagree, it'll be just like, so far it's been just like when Barack and I did. It's in private. She'll say, I think we should do A, B, C, or D. And I'll say, I like A, don't like B and C. And let's go, okay. And I told Barack, if I reach something where there's a fundamental disagreement we have based on a moral principle, I'll develop some disease and say I have to resign. We don't have that. We haven't, and we discussed at length.
So yeah, he flat out told you right there,
That's
almost
wild.
4 years ago, that they were going to do this. So again, what is happening right now? I mean, is this all happenstance, or is this something they planned the whole time because they knew that nobody would probably vote for Kamala? Now they haven't 25th amendmented him, or they haven't, he hasn't died. So she isn't actually the president yet. So she's still gonna have to win the election as of right now. But if something happens to him between now and January, she would literally be the first woman president, and nobody would ever have voted for her, period. Which we're going to get into a little bit more in that regard here in just a minute. Yeah, before we do that though, this whole thing that where the Democrats have been lying, they think that they've been actually, gaining support with their voters. They're actually maybe driving some of them away. Here's a Democrat who says he may never vote Democrat again.
I think that if the DNC would have taken this path maybe 2 months ago when these same problems existed, I might have leaned towards Kamala, our vice president. Now, knowing the things that they've been hiding in plain sight from the American public, I cannot find it in myself to vote for a Democrat, and potentially I might never vote for a Democrat again.
So again, is this working? Is this strategy a good thing for the Democrats? Or is this kind of, it's kind of scary to think about. Not only that, with all this confusion going on, everything going on this week, Joe was missing in action. Now, granted, they said he had COVID, but COVID is not nearly as big of a thing as it once was. I know he was in that age group that's potentially, could have died from it. But at the same time, our, company right now said, if you get COVID, come to work. You don't even have to isolate. You don't have to do none of that stuff. Not to mention when Joe left, he wasn't even wearing a mask, all that sort of thing. But they said he had to social distance, that sort of stuff. Well, while all that was going on, apparently, the president of Israel came to town to address Congress, which he has had planned for a long time when it comes to the war in Israel. So that sort of thing was going on. Many people wondered if he was even still alive, Joe Biden, because to drop out via tweets, no public appearance is definitely not normal. Lots of confusion about what was going on, including with Netanyahu, who arrived to nobody greeting him at the airport, from the sounds of things, only to be met by no one by the Biden administration. Kamala and Biden were available. Obviously, we'll talk about where Kamala was here in just a minute. He requested a meeting with Donald Trump, which Trump did oblige, which we'll talk about here in a minute as well. But yeah, this is all the stuff going on where he was going to be addressing Congress, which led to all the leftist Palestinian supporters and Hamas terrorist supporters, let's call them for what they are, pulling essentially an insurrection type ish behavior at the Capitol this week in protests.
They were throwing cops on the damn ground.
Oh yeah, we're going to show that too. But first of all, they're burning American flags here in protest of Netanyahu. So yeah. So, I guess this is peaceful, huh? I mean, a lot of people would say it is because they're not hurting anybody right here.
Hey, isn't that them hanging Joe Biden?
No, that's Netanyahu. It's a dummy of Netanyahu.
I was about to say,
yeah.
That's wild.
But they don't like Joe Biden's policy stance on helping Israel as well. A lot of these nut jobs. So we also got them vandalizing statues. Yeah. Talking about, Hamas, free Gaza, the Zionists are bastards. There's one that was even said down with America, things like that. So these are the Democratic Party base right here. These are the far leftists for sure, but at the same time supporting terrorism. Here they are ripping down an American flag off a flagpole and putting up the Palestinian flag.
That's wild.
This sort of thing is happening in France and Europe right now as well. I mean, all this stuff.
So I want to ask real quick: is this the stuff that I should be having my kids participate in or getting ready to like? At what point is this not okay?
Yeah, I think that point is long past, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, I mean, the left, that's the thing. They'll come out and say, January 6th this, January 6th that. The right need to calm down. That's Netanyahu burning right there, an effigy of Netanyahu. But the left, you have not come out, not one of them have come out and condemned this. Not a one. Nope. So you want to talk, I don't want to hear another word about January fucking 6th. I really don't.
Do you have anything about Kamala not the bail money situation?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit too.
Okay.
But yeah,
right.
when we get into Kamala herself, but yeah, this I mean, look at this. I mean, this is a felony. I mean,
not for them.
Apparently not.
They all got out of jail already. All the ones that got arrested are already free.
Exactly, and we're going to show that in 2 seconds too. But yeah, this is them assaulting
Isn't
police
this
officers.
treason?
Huh?
Isn't this treason?
This is federal time.
Yeah, it's all the above. I mean, but
this
again,
isn't a county jail issue. You go into the penitentiary.
They vandalized monuments. They took down an American flag from an official flagpole and burnt it
on an American soil. They put up the flag of a foreign government, a foreign country.
Hey, if all these people want to, believe in Hamas and everything, let's buy them a freaking boat or a plane, send them over there and think, if they think that over there is where freedom
send them on a boat because then they can deal with the pirates on the fucking way over there.
Or they could try to dock that thing and the dock that freaking sank that Biden built. They could do that as well. But these are the same people as Netanyahu said in his Congress speech. I didn't pull up the whole thing because we'd be here all night probably. But Netanyahu basically said literally these people who are protesting for Palestinians are saying, gays for Gaza. They might as well be chanting, chickens for KFC because they're going to get beheaded as soon as they walk into Palestine. These people don't understand. Some of them probably do understand what they're chanting for here. That's the thing. Hamas is a Muslim terrorist organization. Okay. This is a Muslim flag now being flown in America. It's being flown in France and stuff. They're being overrun by these so-called immigrants over in France with their open border policies. It's a leftist policy thing that's going on across the world right now, and it's happening here. We're getting Muslims here en masse. Whether you want to think that they're innocent asylum seekers or not, they're not all that way for sure. Jordan Harrison wrote, all these people have lost their forking minds. Scary world and scary for all of us. Yeah, it's getting crazy out there for sure. But this is a video where cops were literally trying to stop these more violent protesters, and they're getting assaulted as well.
These cops look like renegades. I don't even think they were.
Probably cadets, most of them.
We're back, you fucking idiot! We're back!
So, of course, all these people.
Did she yell rape?
Oh, probably. I mean, of course, all these protesters think that it's like a George Floyd situation. They're evil cops and they're out to, just stop the cause. No, they're doing their job. That you guys are getting out of control. But again, the left wants to paint the cops as the bad guys in this situation. Here's some more footage of that.
They're probably a bunch of trainees. That's why they don't have actual firearms.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, they're dragging down cops, I mean, they're outnumbered like, 3 to 50 here or more? I mean, if there was to get out of control, these cops would be dead. I mean, I think he had to pull out the mace and things like that, as they were getting crazy. But again, this is the left. This is the Democratic Party. Okay. The ones that the ones who are in power actually allow and, want to be their supporters. Donald Trump wrote on True Social, if those people rioting in Washington yesterday were Republicans and conservatives, they'd all be in jail right now facing 10 to 20 year sentences. But under this crooked administration, nothing will happen to them. He's 100% correct on this. Because the very next day, as Miranda mentioned, they were released from jail. Here they are hugging their comrades as they're being let out, without any consequences. What so flippin' ever. But again, this is why we have all the issues, because there are no consequences for these people in this country whatsoever. But of course, later, I guess after the riots died down and everybody went home finally, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and a few Republicans returned an American flag to that flagpole.
Nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Woo! Yeah!
So it's at least nice to see that somebody still cares about this country. The Republicans do, the Democrats do not. And if you need any more proof of it, right there. I mean, you may say, well, these are leftist radicals. Okay, sure. But again, these are who the Democrats want in their party. These people are the ones who vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They're the ones that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris cater to, the radicals. They don't cater to the middle of the road Democrats who just want good policy. They don't cater to you. Just ask Bill Maher. They don't cater to people like him. And even Bill Maher's called this out, as much as I disagree with him. I'm going to talk about him a little bit in a bit too. But yeah, as a cop, Jordan Harrison wrote, I would have been scared for my life because these people are nuts. Roll the military in and let's go. Yeah, they should, but they won't do that because, again, they want this mayhem. If it happens under Donald Trump will do that. They'll paint him as a fascist dictator who wants to murder all the civilians. So the news going around was that Kamala Harris boycotts Netanyahu speech. Her and about 80 Democrats boycotted his speech in front of Congress. As she was instead at Indianapolis, Indiana, of all places, and was giving a speech to a sorority, Zeta Phi Beta sorority at Grand Bull at Indiana Convention Center in Indianapolis, Indiana, right next to Lucas Oil Stadium. So she was pandering to her base of the sorority women, and obviously these are a lot of people of color for sure. So she was trying to rally the troops there, but did not care about Israel. And 80 Democrats also boycotted the speech as well. So again, the Democratic Party don't even care about one of America's closest allies, which is Israel. And we've supported them for years, but now they view them as genocidal or whatnot, for sure. But while he was speaking, when Zelensky from Ukraine speaks, Kamala Harris is holding up Ukrainian flags, but she's completely absent when Israel's here. Wasn't Israel the one who was attacked by Hamas? Just like supposedly Russia was the one who attacked Ukraine. But again, Kamala Harris can't find it out of her busy time frame to come here and actually support Israel, our closest ally. So anyway, it's just a shame for sure. So, and not to mention, if you want to say, well, she already had that little sorority speech already planned. She couldn't have possibly, rechanged her schedule after Netanyahu showed up. Netanyahu's speech in front of Congress was planned months ago. Kamala Harris didn't, schedule that sorority speech until a month after Netanyahu had already decided to come to speak to Congress. So she knew about it when she scheduled the sorority speech for sure. So she just decided to boycott. And of course, we had the ones who did show up for the speech, like Rashida Tlaib holding up this war criminal sign in front of Netanyahu here. She is a, terrorist sympathizing, Palestinian supporting, Hamas supporting radical. So again, this is the Democratic Party. She is a representative in Congress. She should be completely expelled, in my opinion, for sure. So Donald Trump said he was looking forward to meeting Bibi Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago on Thursday. I think it might have actually taken place Friday because I think eventually Biden and Harris did meet with, Netanyahu for sure. They did do that. But again, they couldn't be bothered to do that when he arrived or anything like that. And it might have been scheduled for sure. But at the same time, you had Kamala Harris apparently talking about how she had a stern talking to Netanyahu because, of course, like I said, the Democrats support the ones who were, killing all the Israelis. But here's what Kamala had to say about it.
So I just had a frank and constructive meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. I told him that I will always ensure that Israel is able to defend itself, including from Iran and Iran-backed militias such as Hamas and Hezbollah.
So apparently she claims she had a stern talking to with Netanyahu. Well, Donald Trump, when he did meet with him, this is what he had to say to Netanyahu about Kamala Harris.
And I think her remarks were disrespectful. They weren't very nice pertaining to Israel. I actually don't know how a person who's Jewish can vote for her, but that's up to them. But she was certainly disrespectful to Israel, in my opinion.
Mr. Trump, has your relationship with the Prime Minister repaired at all?
It was never bad. I would say it was always present.
So yeah, so he was lending his support as Donald Trump should, and that's what we want out of our president for sure. So yeah, this is just all sad. Of course, while all this was going on, like I said, Biden was missing in action, and apparently Kamala Harris is starting to do her tour as the nominee. And apparently she was talking in front of a group of people, and apparently she had Joe Biden call in. And it sounded like it was a bit of a recording, and maybe Kamala Harris might have even let that slip. Let's listen to what she almost Freudian slipped here.
Our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call. Our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call.
Joe, I know you're still on the call. So she almost let it slip that was a recording of Joe Biden here. Yeah. So again, just trying to cover for Joe Biden, no doubt about it. This is sad. Well, Joe Biden finally did resurface here. Like I said, before he met Benjamin Netanyahu, or Bibi Netanyahu, my apologies. So he finally gave a speech to the world at the Oval Office. However, I won't be playing this speech because it was just nothing but lies. It should have been an apology to the American people for his hateful rhetoric and failures. Instead, he lied the entire way through about his record, never giving any reason for why he's actually stepping down. He touted his administration's multiple successes, all of which, like I said, were lies, provable as much, even promising to call for Supreme Court reform because obviously the Democrats are not getting their way right now. So he's going to probably try to pack the court or, even the court somehow. Just like the rest of his presidency, it was complete and total bullshit because he loves to tout his accomplishments here. Here's all of his supposed accomplishments, which were not good for the American people for sure. And not only that, he's so successful as a president, he has to quit. Someone explain that one to me. I mean, does that make any sense to anybody else? He has to actually quit because again, he didn't say he was stepping down for medical reasons. I guess that's kind of what's assumed, but he never actually said those things. He just said, for the best interest of my party, I feel like it's best to give it to a new generation to unite the party. The reason he stepped down is because he's getting his ass kicked. That's why he stepped down, plain and simple. And everybody freaking knows it, including Donald Trump, who was watching from his plane as this was going on here, taking it all in, knowing for a fact that everything he's spouting is absolute bile and BS. So yeah, he even had a little bit of a sly smirk on his face in this picture here, which I thought was absolutely outstanding because he knows, as he predicted weeks ago, that Biden is done. While he will be staying in office for the next 6 months until his term is done in January, unless God forbid something happens to him. Again, we here on the channel don't wish ill will on Joe Biden. But at the same time, it's Joe Biden, and they may off him or they may 25th Amendment him. I don't know. But Joe Biden's got a long time left in 6 months, and hopefully we can get through to January following this election here for sure. But with all that being said, I thought it would be kind of cool to take a break from one of our sponsors here on the show. We have a sponsor, and it's from A-Brain. Let's check this out.
I used to believe everything I'd see on the news, but that's before I discovered a brain.
A brain is meant for everyday use. Those living with moderate to severe stupidity have seen immediate improvement in common sense with a brain.
I thought the government had my best interests at heart, and then a friend told me about a brain.
Talk to your doctor about what news sources you obey. A brain may also lower your desire to take life-altering advice from celebrities.
Getting lectured about my carbon footprint from people with 3 private jets used to make sense. But thanks to a brain, now I can think for myself every day. When my disregard for 3rd grade biology began to flare up, I knew it was time for a brain.
Do not try a brain if you're allergic to a brain. Common side effects may include accountability, discernment, homeschooling your kids, a better understanding of economics, awareness of the stupidity of socialism, and diarrhea.
For tethering yourself to reality, the only answer is choosing a brain. Ask your doctor if a brain is right for you.
For more information, visit tryabrain.com.
So we thank them very much for their sponsorship here on the channel. We definitely appreciate their
Yes.
support.
Yeah,
Yes.
appreciate
It's
it.
absolutely outstanding. We definitely need that for sure. But yeah, so that's absolutely outstanding. So yeah, I mean, what do you think about all this so far before we move on to the next stuff? Just sad.
Sometimes I wish I didn't have a brain.
Yeah.
It would make
drives
life
me nuts.
it would make life a lot simpler, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
sure. All right. So apparently, since Joe Biden is officially not running now, we now have a new nominee, the poster child of failing upward. That is Kamala Harris. And so let's
I
get
thought
into.
it was sucking upward.
Well, yeah. Bro, good one. But we're going to talk about that, and we're going to even address your criticism for you Democrats who may be watching, who think, "Oh, you shouldn't be criticizing her dating life or anything like that." We're going to discuss that too. But before we get into that, let's take a quick look at Kamala Harris.
You're considered the most liberal United States Senator.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented cross-borders from abolish ICE.
A position you agree with.
We need to start.
Say it loud. Say it clear. Say everyone is welcome here.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross a border.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
You support giving universal health care, Medicare for all to people who are in this country illegally?
I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public health, period.
You support the Medicare for all bill. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. For people out there who like their insurance, well, they don't get to keep it.
Let's eliminate all of that.
Boston Marathon bomber on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation. As President of the United States, I am prepared to pass a Green New Deal.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
What is the solution for voters who have jobs and interests in the fossil fuel industry?
Transition into the jobs of the future.
But would you support changing the dietary guidelines? Reduce red meat specifically?
Yes, I would. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
So yeah, Kamala Harris is apparently the new Democratic nominee. The DNC, the Democratic National Convention, does not take place until late August. So we'll wait and see if she ends up becoming the nominee. This kind of feels like a bit of a trial process to see if she goes over well, and if she doesn't, like Donald Trump said, they ousted Joe Biden, he's out, and if she doesn't go well, she'll be out too, and they'll bring in the next name. This is becoming a bit of a circus, if you ask me, because this is not the way this is supposed to go. We're going to talk about a little bit more how that became a circus. But I am happily, at least, that apparently the Democrats have finally figured out what a woman is. So that's awesome. Because now they have full confidence that Kamala Harris is a woman.
Can someone please just give me a valid reason as to why they're voting for Kamala Harris? So far, the only two that I've heard is because she's a woman and she's black. I'm from the exact same people that can't define what a woman is and who say not to judge people based off the color of their skin. Okay. Thought we learned our lesson with Obama, but apparently not. Actually terrifying that this is the type of woman that people want as the president of the United States. They want a woman that's known for using her mouth to get to the positions that she's in. And I don't mean public speeches. But then again, based off the morals of the women of the left, not surprising. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against having a woman president, but I'm not going to vote for someone just because they've got a cooch. Especially one that is pro-defund the police and open border. Those are the same ones that say that Trump is trying to take down the democracy and you don't even realize what's happening in front of your own eyes. You now have a candidate that you did not vote for. This has never happened before. All you are is a puppet in their game. I thank you for your service of being a little social justice warrior for the past 4 years, but we don't want that anymore. You want a woman president so bad, sure that it's not one that's going to be a complete embarrassment to our country. When push comes to shove, it's not going to matter what's in her pants or the color of her skin. It's time that you start actually using your brain because we can't afford another 4 years of this.
Absolutely. This woman's got it down.
Yeah. She made a good point. There's nothing wrong with a woman president, but we want a good woman president. One that's going to represent women the right way, and put a good light instead of pretending like, or making them seem like women are stupid.
If she becomes president, I'm going to identify as a man.
Fair.
I don't know about that one, Chance.
Well, apparently
in the same group as her.
Despite the Democrats, or at least some of them, she got endorsements from a lot of the top brass and Democrats. But the Obamas were ones that took a few days to come around to the idea, apparently. But they finally endorsed her Friday morning with this phone call.
Kamala.
Hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, hi. You're both together. Oh, it's good to hear you both.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
Historically bad.
To say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, Brock, this means so much to me. I am looking forward to doing this with the two.
All right, I'm going to cut it off there because I'm going to vomit if I don't. But you get the idea. The Obamas, endorsed her. Then, of course, we got Chuck Schumer, who just recently was talking about how, Joe was as sharp as a tack, trying to endorse her as well. And when he did, he got an awkward response from the reporters there who did not clap along with him, which was interesting.
So now that the process is played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. We don't have to. Now,
sounds like they were very enthusiastic. He had to literally ask them to clap and applause. So, yeah, that's great. It just feels like we're in the honeymoon phase of Kamala Harris's campaign here. Democrats are viewing this as an upgrade from Joe Biden at the moment. Media is already swooning over her. As an example, here's a bit of a montage of them completely falling in love with Kamala Harris now.
I'm jumping out of my seat over here watching this. I think people have been thirsting for this.
And I'll just say this, and I'm with Tim. I'm jumping out of my seat higher than you, my brother. I'm just going to say that.
There was a twinkle in her eye. There was a kick in her step that, when you're vice president, you're not loose. You can't, there's somebody above you. There's somebody, you don't want to overshadow them. And this was quite the coming out. And I got chills when she said, Donald Trump, I know your type. I was blown away. I was like, I kind of fell in love with her. I thought she was smart, engaging. She's funny, feisty, twinkle in your eye, punch you in the gut. I mean, everything you kind of want. And I just thought it was a great, great opening act.
She looked completely comfortable tonight with the words she was speaking. They felt organic and genuine.
I'm jumping out.
So yeah, so like I said, they were fawning all over her with all this because she's the new kid on the block, so to speak. But when you got the people telling you Kamala is a great candidate this week, when they were the same ones telling you that Biden was fit for a job last week, kind of makes you go, maybe that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Gotta love Jim from The Office, and this meme is absolutely great. You can put anything you want in there, and it makes it work for sure. But not only that, apparently, supposedly, Kamala Harris raised $81 million in a 24-hour period, the first 24-hour period, and $100 million in the 36-hour period. But did she really? Right. Let's take a look at this theory. This one may be a little bit hard to hear, so let's try this out.
I can't be the only person who's disturbed by these figures of how much money she's raised in one day, or who also doesn't believe them.
Yeah, did Kamala Harris actually raise $81 million in 24 hours and over $100 million in 36 hours? Mostly from small dollar donors, according to Democratic fundraising platform Act Blue. I mean, those numbers would be astronomical for anyone, let alone a candidate who received a whopping 844 votes in the 2020 Democratic primary. So I can understand why people are a little sus about those numbers. And looking into this, things are about to get real murky, and I am not sure if people are going to like what I found. So I'm citing a 2023 article in the Carolina Journal. Investigation indicates Act Blue potentially laundered fraudulent political donations. An investigative journalist from North Carolina, Stephen Horn, has made a significant discovery in the Federal Election Commission database, revealing a scheme to potentially launder fraudulent political donations through multiple left-wing organizations, including Act Blue. Remember, Act Blue is the primary Democratic fundraising platform online. All right, so Horn and two other volunteers, Kelly Lane and Steve, unearthed evidence of two Raleigh residents whose names and addresses were employed to record substantial amounts of money donated to Democratic organizations. And just so everybody's aware, platforms like Act Blue are required to disclose political contributions to the FEC, including who made the donation, when they made it, their address, and the amount of the donation. Look at this data. This is so bizarre. One donor, same day, just dozens of contributions. By the way, this is all public information, so you can go to the FEC website, do a search, see what you find. All right, the article goes on. However, a perplexing twist emerged when both individuals emphatically stated their inability to contribute such exorbitant sums. So yeah, I'm gonna switch to a different video here because that, like I said, that was a little quiet. But this is
I'm gonna pause you real quick here.
Okay.
I just want you to know your conspiracy theorist friend has been talking about Act Blue for like 4 fucking years.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. This is old news to me.
And remember, Act Blue is the same organization that the Trump assassination shooter donated to. It was a small sum, just like this. But how many of those were? What's that?
Project Veritas. They're the ones that like broke the story on Act Blue. And then James O'Keefe lost that company, and now he's got OMG.
And
he's going after Disney.
Yeah. And he also did a video about this exact same thing as well. I wasn't going to play it just because it was 10 minutes long, but at the same time, they did their investigative journalism here, and they found the 2 people who supposedly, donated, which they did donate. But again, you had the one person's name with multiple donations in that same day. So that's not real. So let's check out their response when they find out this information.
There was a flurry of donations made in your name. About 20 donations. I don't think so. Have you ever donated to Act Blue?
Yeah.
Okay. These donations made, do they look familiar to you at all?
Not necessarily.
We're with LA Watch. We're kind of following up with people that are over 65 years old, that people are using their name and potential address to just make micro donations.
Seeing that, we're like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. That's kind of, people have been donating 40-cent donations in your name. That's kind of why we're like, what's going on here?
That's odd. I have never.
I can't imagine, even though I make small donations, recently it's been, pretty difficult because finances are not very good.
So we go with the bigger donations, which are probably yours. You see 500 there, 250, 100.
Those probably aren't mine. That's got to be in somebody else's name because I really haven't given that many.
What do you think is the biggest number you would have given?
Biggest number usually runs around $75.
So nothing like 500, 200, none of that?
No.
Oh gosh, okay.
I did not make a flurry of,
One would remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see there's a bunch of $100 donations in your name with this address and everything.
Oh, well, those are good.
Jeez Louise.
Would you like to get a refund from those donations?
I would say so. I recently changed my credit card, and I would recognize it if it was oh my God.
You would see those popping up, and it would be.
Oh yeah. Because I would be screaming. Wait a minute! There's no way I can afford that.
Right.
So yeah, these people were getting taken advantage of for sure, no doubt
That's
about it.
wild.
So the Democratic Party appears again. This isn't complete fact just yet. And there's another video here, which I won't
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was money actually coming out of their bank account?
I don't know if it was that, or I think it was they were just putting it in their name, making it look like they donated, but they didn't actually donate.
Okay.
They got these large donors and broke up their money basically and laundered money.
Yeah. So here's the rest of that video that we started on just to kind of finish his point. Well, maybe. It's being slow. Okay, of course it is. Now, let me refresh real quick. Maybe that'll help. But if not, it's no big deal. But at the same time, like I said, they were just donating all this money here for sure. All right, here we go.
With this address. I did not hurry.
She is not going on. The result of these investigations suggests that the Act Blue fundraising platform is being used to launder fraudulent political donations using the names and addresses of ordinary citizens. If the individual whose name and address is on a contribution did not, in fact, make that contribution, it seems likely that the money is coming from a source which would not be legally able to make the contribution directly. That is wild. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that's what's going on right now because we don't have the data for that. The FEC website is only updated, or the disclosure only happens on a monthly basis. But what I am saying is that based on past reporting, I should probably ask a few more questions as to where the hundreds of millions of dollars actually came from.
Yeah, the fact that they could actually look that up is concerning. It's public information. So yeah, like I said, there's another video here which I won't play, but there's many other people they've interviewed, and they found that this is back all the way in 2022, where this has been going on for during the the other elections that weren't the presidential election. Well, all this being said, Donald Trump has filed a complaint with the FEC about Biden's excessive contribution to Kamala Harris. So Trump is wanting them to look into this, and it sounds like for good reason. So we'll see where this goes, if it goes anywhere. But not only that, I guess there's a lot of debate whether or not she could just
Probably not.
take over Joe Biden's campaign funds as the vice president. Because again, these donors gave to Joe Biden under the assumption that he was going to be the presidential nominee, not Kamala Harris. So the right thing to do technically would probably be to give that money back to the donors and let them redonate it if they actually want to donate it to Kamala Harris. But they're probably not going to do that. There may be a law to where it says that she can take his money. I think that is the case. But if that's the case, it's very underhanded to somebody who's never actually was voted into this position. But let's get into some of Kamala Harris's accomplishments here. I'll just leave this up for a second. You can kind of pause this, look at it at your will here, but we'll go over some more, a little bit more in depth here for sure. Yeah, I mean, they love to tout Kamala Harris and all her accomplishments and things like that. But clearly, all this stuff that she wants to either get done or has done has not been good for the American public at all. If anything, it's just Joe Biden on steroids. Everybody wants to talk about how Joe Biden was so bad or whatever. Kamala Harris is worse. Kamala Harris is more radical than Joe Biden is. Joe Biden, as much as he's a radical, he at least tries to appear more toward the middle at times. Kamala's not going to do that. Kamala Harris is going to be worse when it comes to her policies. So, of course, the left, knowing all this and the media knowing all this, they are now officially starting their cover-up for Kamala Harris, especially when it comes to her role when it comes to the border and the immigration problem. Because Kamala Harris was appointed as the border czar. Now, the media is trying to
she wasn't. Never was.
According to the media, she was never the border czar, not at all. Never once was. That was never an official title, that sort of thing. That never happened. She was not the reason the border's in the horrible shape it is. Well, she kind of is, because we have video evidence of Joe Biden literally appointing her as the one in control of looking into what's going on at the border.
I've asked VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border.
Okay, so the left and the media are now trying to say, well, the border czar was never an actual title. That's never been a thing. That's never, she's never been the border czar. That's stupid. Well, here's an actual article or a congressional resolution where at the very bottom where it says literally Congress called her the border czar in quotes. So Congress labeled her this after she was appointed there by Joe Biden. So it was an official term. It wasn't just something that the right made up, period. This was an official resolution that was passed by Congress after she was appointed. So come on, guys. Not to mention, let's see here. What else? Where I kind of lost my spot. Okay, yeah. So yeah, but not to mention, we know Kamala Harris's, policy on the border on immigration. She doesn't think anybody crossing a border is an illegal.
It is a serious mistake to conflate criminal justice policy with immigration policy, as if they are the same thing. They are not.
I hate her fake caring tone.
Prosecuted everything from low-level offenses to homicides. I know what a crime looks like. And I will tell you, an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. Based on our laws, as soon as they step foot in this country, they are breaking the law and committing a felony. So she's already dead wrong on that from the jump. And this is also the same woman that when she took on this role, took forever to go to actually visit the border. I'm not even sure she fully did.
I remember this.
I think she did eventually after she got all this backlash. But here's her being interviewed by Lester Holt asking whether or not she's been to the border.
Just quickly put a button.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. I'm not discounting the importance of the border.
Well, I mentioned it because I know Republicans have certainly come at you on this, but Democratic Congressman Cuellar has a border district has said to you and the president, come. You need to see this.
Listen, I care about what's happening at the border.
And there's been many Border Patrol agents and people who run that organization down there have said they've never once spoken to the president or the vice president. I mean,
I wish these people that wanted her president could have them or have her as president somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
On their own little island.
But again,
Just
the media for
That's
about a
moving.
week,
Yeah.
the media for about a week actually did real journalism to oust Joe Biden. They finally started telling the truth once the debate happened, and they finally started saying, "Look, he's not as full of mental acuity as they thought." So they finally started telling the truth to get him out of there. But for 3.5 years, they lied. Well, they're now back to full-blown propaganda mode, as they are denying that she's the border czar. In fact, we've got Axios, who's supposedly like a fact checker. The Trump campaign and Republicans have tagged Harris repeatedly with the border czar title, which she never actually had. We just showed you she did. Even if she didn't, let's say that wasn't actually a term. She was still put in charge of the border. We just heard Biden appoint her to do that. So no, the right is not making this up at all. Kamala Harris was never Biden's border czar. Here's what she really did. So they're trying to fact check the lies now to try to bury this and cover it up with her poor record. But here is a list or a bunch of examples of the media, literally the media themselves, calling her the border czar.
To a new role, taking the lead on the immigration crisis.
In months of taking office, Vice President Harris was assigned the difficult task of the border, checking in with Central American governments and trying to get to the root causes of immigration problems in the United States.
It has been 91 days since President Biden named Harris as the administration's border czar. Republicans have heavily criticized her for not visiting the border since then, though she has made other trips to places like Guatemala.
As the border crisis escalates, President Biden is putting the vice president in charge.
When she speaks for me, doesn't have to check with me. She knows what she's doing.
The work will not be easy, but it is important work.
So yeah, I mean, right there, the media come up with it. That may be true. Fine. But either way, they've been calling her the border czar this entire time. And now they're trying to say, well the rights, they're the ones who made it up. I mean, here's Hakeem Jeffries literally saying that the right and conservatives are making that up.
He was never assigned the position of border czar. They're making that up.
So again, they're flat out deny, because why? It makes Kamala Harris look terrible because she did nothing. Here's how the Democratic Party works, okay? I'm going to show you this clip here, this is a clip, basically. What you're going to see is it's going to rotate, okay? The red is after Biden dropped out and the reaction from the media, okay? Covering for Kamala Harris. The blue you're going to see before Biden dropped out and how they've been touting her as the border czar this entire time. So this, again, you're going to see in real time, the media contradict themselves.
Quote unquote, border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People are going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. She was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
So right there, again, the media flat out lying to your face. They've called her the border czar for years, but now that Biden has dropped out and it makes her look bad, they're going to cover for her. Now, I want everybody to stop and think about this. This is what the media and the left and the Democrats do. The media did this in 2016 and 2020, and they're doing it now in 2024 for Kamala Harris. This is how the process works, okay? Number one, report on a true story that is bad for the Democratic candidate and say it's false, okay? The debate then comes up where Trump will use the true topic, like border czar, against Kamala Harris. Then Kamala Harris will then cite all the news reports claiming she was never the border czar because the media reports she's not, right? Donald Trump will then not have much of a defense besides the typical, well, that's fake news, because it is. That's what it is. It's fake news. Then the media will then report on how Donald Trump lied about Kamala Harris as the border czar, and then they will cite their BS news reports. So they'll create the news, make it fake, and then report it as if it's fact when Trump goes out to try to tell the truth and say he's lying. Then the media will then add the lie to their list of Trump lied 156 times during the debate list. We've been down
There
this
should
road
be
before.
treason on their part.
It is.
Part.
This is one of the many ways the media rigs elections. So when Donald Trump says election interference, this is what he means. I'm tired of this shit. And I know we all are, but this is important to get out there for sure. I mean, this is ridiculous. They create the lie. Trump tries to counter the lie after, it's a report of a true thing. And then they, smear him with the lie and then cover it up saying, oh, well, we reported it was a lie, so it must be a lie. It's bullshit. Complete bullshit. Not to mention, apparently, Republicans, every single Republican this week, including 6 Democrats, passed a border policy that condemned the Biden administration and Kamala Harris on their handling of the border. Even 6 Democrats come out and supported this. A lot of Democratic people in that party don't agree with her border policies and Biden's border policies either. And not only that, I don't know, I'd like to know who did this, but someone apparently shipped about 100 migrants to Kamala Harris's front yard.
Breaking news for you. This has been a busy morning already. We are going live to pictures from Washington, D.C. And the latest report is that there have been immigrants by bus dropped off at Vice President Kamala Harris's residence.
Good.
This is just outside her home. You can see from these pictures dozens, I would say more than 100. I don't know if there are multiple hundreds of people outside on the lawn there, but not a small number of people outside, not the White House, but Vice President Harris's home address.
And I'm sure they'll be shipped out just like all those migrants and asylum seekers or whoever they were when they ended up at Martha's Vineyard in Obama's front yard too. These people do not care about these migrants whatsoever. I mean, but yet, this is what they do.
It's perfectly okay for these immigrants to come into the country and take over our homes, but it's not okay for them to take over their homes.
Which is why whoever shipped them there was probably some Republican governor or something, maybe Ron DeSantis or Greg Abbott, something like that. But again, I applaud this because, again, they don't like it because once they get the consequences of it, they're like, but you're the ones who caused this problem. So you guys either fix it or shut the fuck up. I'm sick and tired of this. So apparently, she's also, done a whole lot of things. I don't know if I have it pulled up here. I wish I did. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. So apparently Kamala Harris has also, done some other stupid stuff. She apparently.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, who'd have thought? Apparently, CBS News out of Minnesota was trying to fact check the right and claim that Trump falsely accuses Kamala Harris of donating to Minnesota Freedom Fund to bail out dangerous criminals for the Black Lives Matter riots in 2020. And they tried to say, well, that was a lie that the right is making up and Trump is lying. Well, apparently this is a tweet from Kamala Harris herself. If you're able to, chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. It is still up on her X account. You can find it still at this point if it's not been removed just yet. But she posted that during the summer of 2020 to bail out those rioters who burned cities down. This is what Kamala Harris had no problem supporting. This is the BLM riots in 2020 in Minnesota, Portland, Oregon, all these different places throughout the country when George Floyd died. So again, I don't want to hear another damn word about January fucking 6th. Democrats did not condemn this. I mean, she even wanted funding to get these people out of jail. They want the chaos, guys. They want this country
just so
to
they
fall.
can get out and go do it in another fucking city.
Yeah. The Democrats and the left are not your friends. They are not for you. Period. End of story. And she's also done a bunch of other things, but to kind of help me start doing that, let's listen to Tulsi Gabbard during a Democratic presidential debate a few years back, literally laying into Kamala Harris and her record.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you.
Did you hear how they tried to cut her off there?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tulsi Gabbard, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if is she still Democrat? If she is, she's
No,
very.
she's independent, I believe.
That's what I thought. I thought she left the Democratic Party. So
She
did.
She saw through the bullshit eventually too. So yeah.
Is that Montel Williams?
Yeah.
We're going to get into him in just a second. Before we do that, she went over that the marijuana.
You haven't seen that recently before?
Yeah. So not to mention, she kept those people locked up beyond their sentences to use them as slave labor to fight fires in California because she said they needed them. That's evil as hell. The party of supposedly anti-slavery is keeping on slaves to do their dirty work for them. But yeah, apparently, now let's talk about her relationship stuff. This is a photo of Montel Williams with Kamala Harris on his right, and apparently his daughter on his left. Now, a lot of people have been looking at this photo, going around saying, see, Kamala Harris is his side hoe, his side chick. But apparently, X did a fact check, fair enough, and it says Montel Williams and Kamala Harris dated in 2001. Nothing wrong with them dating. No problem with that. The other woman pictured in blue is Montel Williams' daughter. In this sense, and using the OP's vernacular, Harris was not his side hoe, but his main hoe. So I loved this fact check from Twitter. Absolutely hilarious here. Again, I have no problem if she dated Montel Williams or any of that sort of stuff right there. No problem with that. She has
Montel Williams, crazy.
Yeah, who cares? I also personally don't have much of a problem with this outside of one thing. Willie Brown. So Democrats are trying to lessen this one because Willie Brown was separated from his wife at the time. He was married at this point. Willie Brown was 60 years old. Kamala Harris was 29 years old. But in my eyes, that's still wrong. I don't know about you. Whether you're separated or not, you're still married. That's an affair.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people on the left say they have the moral high ground. Where's your moral high ground here? He's cheating on his wife with Kamala Harris here, and she knows about it.
Do you think she's giving him a hand job under the table?
They each other in the fucking streets. You think they got moral high ground?
Well, they claim they do. That's all I'm saying. They claim they do. But if Democrats want, now I'm for this. Okay, listen. If Democrats want the right to let this go, because be honest, this does not matter to me. I don't give a shit what she does in her personal life. Just like Donald Trump, I don't care. But if Democrats want to let this one go, fine. Then stop attacking Donald Trump for his personal life. End of story. Otherwise, this is fair game for Republicans to attack Kamala Harris for this. Either way, Kamala was still using this relationship for political gain because she got started in her political aspirations by being appointed to certain positions because of this man who was in the government in California. So at the same time, that is fair game. That is where I have a problem with this. She used this to advance her career. Again, as Aaron alluded to earlier, what she was doing under the table, so to speak. Let's be fair here. This is Megyn Kelly kind of reiterating that point.
About on this on Twitter right now about whether her sleeping with Willie Brown when she was an up-and-coming, inspiring politician in San Francisco is fair game. It's part of a pattern.
Oh, there was some coming.
Ascending to positions that she does not deserve based on merit for other reasons. First, she slept with this guy, Willie Brown, who was this extremely popular, powerful congressman out in California, in the assembly out there, went on to become the speaker out there. And he put her in two different positions that she did not deserve when she was only 29 or 30. He was 60. Already that affair is sus. And she was making the equivalent of 130 grand a year by today's money for meeting twice a month for these medical boards and another position for which she had zero qualifications. He was trying to lay the road for her political career. He admitted that he's the one who helped her win the role as DA, and she was sleeping with him. I'm sorry, it's fair game. About on this.
Exactly. So again,
there were probably several positions.
I mean, like I said, I will drop this.
There was definitely something laid.
Oh my Lord!
But I don't think it was a road.
Fair. So yeah, like I said, fair game. So I don't want to hear about Donald Trump and E. Jean Carroll. I don't. Now you can argue, well, those were consensual. What Billy Brown was doing. First of all, we have no absolute proof that Donald Trump actually did anything to E. Jean Carroll.
E. Jean Carroll's fucking.
Is that the chick that said it happened in the store?
Yeah,
she's the one who said rape is sexy. You can look at, and her dog's name was Vagina.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's that shit. I mean, same thing with Stormy Daniels. She never once said that he forced himself upon her until after the fact that she was able to sue him and did this whole thing going on. Even Bill Maher pointed that out. So again, we have, there's nothing here. So if you want us to stop talking about this, stop talking about Donald Trump. Because like I said, at the end of the day, does not matter. However, for those of you Democrats who want to continue to act like, Donald Trump's the evil person, well, he grabs women by the pussy. That's what he said, right? How about so many Democrats voting women? They're often married, think that Trump is untrustworthy because they believe he slept with side chicks. So now they are going to demonstrate how much they hate Donald Trump by voting for the actual side chick at Kamala Harris. It's honestly amazing to think about. Again, tell me where I'm telling lies here, guys. There's a reason why she's known as knee pad Harris. Okay.
Oh.
We went from pee pads to knee pads. That's what we went to. Let's be fair. And not only that, again, all that stuff I don't necessarily care about. I don't. This is what pisses me off. And it should piss you off, even if you're a Democrat at this point. It really should. I wrote this on Facebook after Joe Biden dropped out and they named Kamala their nominee, basically. What a joke the Democrats are. Let's just disenfranchise 14 million voters who selected him in the Democratic primaries as their nominee. Supposedly 81 million voters who voted for him last time in 2020. The most votes in history, right? Fat chance. I still don't believe he won that. Do you still believe he won that now? And they now say, the communist fascists will select a candidate for the people without a single person in America voting for them to be the nominee. And they're the ones who claim that Donald Trump and the right are against democracy. Explain that one to me. She never once had to go through a primary process. The one time she went through a primary process, she gained less than 1% of the vote when Joe Biden won the nomination in 2020. But they want to subvert the Constitution and the democracy by not going through that process because they know she would never win. They're hoping that she'll beat Donald Trump, but yeah. So I'd like to know how Democrats like Bill Maher think about this, because Bill Maher has definitely been on record as saying the most fundamental thing about our democracy is the peaceful transition of power, and that's why he can't bring himself to support Donald Trump. I wonder how he feels about his party installing someone who got less than 1% of the vote nationally in the Democratic primaries as the presumptive nominee to replace Joe Biden without a single voter having a choice in who the nominee will be. He doesn't seem to have a single damn problem with that. He has been on record this week as saying that he thinks that she can't win because she's unpopular. He's not wrong. But I've yet to see him come out and say that that's a threat to democracy, because that actually is. But I'm sure Democrats like Bill Maher is okay with the ends justifying the means if that means she could beat Trump. Absolute hypocrite if he doesn't come out and say this. Democracy is only good for the Democrats when it suits them. This is a poll that was taken. 60% of Americans believe it is undemocratic for Biden to be replaced by Kamala Harris without a vote. Because it is. This is where I'm pissed off, because this is against everything the left claimed they're for. So sorry if I'm getting a little carried away, but yeah, this is a guy describing this perfectly.
The side of the aisle that's trying to preserve our democracy is completely okay with the Democrats knowing very well that Joe Biden wouldn't make it another 4 years. They knew this from the very beginning. They knew this, but they chose to ride their racehorse as close to the finish line as possible before, let's just say, he got sent off to the glue factory, so that they got to a point where you no longer get to choose who your Democratic option is.
Yeah.
Yet you're preserving democracy. So at this point in time, the American people, Democrats, are not allowed to choose. So as a right-leaning individual, we got to see Nikki Haley, we got to see Vivek, we got to see DeSantis, we got to see a bunch of other people, and we got to choose. We got to decipher. We got to investigate the history of these people, do our due diligence, see what their policies are, and actually dive deep. But the Democrats, the preserving democracy side, is going to be put up with someone. It could be Kamala, could be Newsom, could be Michelle. We don't know who it's going to be. And you are still going to vote for him no matter who, because you are so absent-minded on policy, merit, morals, track record, ethics, that you could care less who it is. You see all these people vote blue no matter who. I'd vote for a blue dot over Donald Trump. And you want to say that MAGA is the cult? You want to say MAGA is the cult when we know what we're voting for. We've kicked people to the curb who are on the Republican Party that we don't align with. We have no problem calling people out who don't abide by what we stand with. But you guys don't even care. You don't care what they stand by. You don't care what their track record is. You don't care if they're involved with the 1994 crime bill, incarcerating Black Americans in San Francisco, homelessness issues in California. You could care less what they actually stand for, because you will vote Democrat no matter who, while simultaneously protecting our democracy. Make that make sense.
They can't, because it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But this is who they're okay with, apparently, because we've all gotten behind them, lock, stock, and barrel here. If the Democratic National Convention can replace Biden against voters' wishes, then they were never about democracy, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. I'm letting it sink in a little bit here. I'm trying to let you guys think here. But again, apparently, as mentioned earlier, the media now has their marching orders. Media are already claiming if you don't vote for Kamala Harris now, you're a racist and sexist. That's going to be the narrative moving forward. It could not possibly be because her policies are more radical left than Joe Biden's, which is why they're going to install her without a vote as the nominee and likely rig it, so she's the winner without a proper vote as well, because she has essentially done everything without actually earning it completely. Everything Trump criticizes her on will be deemed racist, sexist, and misogynistic going forward. Everything, despite the fact he's pointing out the truth. She is the ultimate DEI hire. Did not earn it. Biden admitted that he hired her because she's a woman and she's black, though. Apparently, I thought being a DEI was a good thing, according to Joe Biden and the Democrats.
To me, the values of diversity, equality, inclusion are literally, and that's not kidding, the core strengths of America. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It taps into the full talents of our country. It starts at the top with the vice president.
So Biden admitted he hired her, right? And he hired DEI hires all around his administration. Same for Karine Jean-Pierre, the worst press secretary ever, if you've ever listened to her speak. Ketanji Brown Jackson on the Supreme Court could not identify what a woman was, but yet she's making laws in our country. Pete Buttigieg, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, who I know very well because my dad lives up in that area. While he was mayor, he could not fill a pothole, but yet at the same time, he's now the transportation secretary in charge of our roadways and things like that. None of these people were based or qualified based on their merits, period. None of them. Yeah. Joe Biden literally come out and put out a statement. To me, the values of diversity, equity, inclusion are literally, and this is not kidding, the core strengths of America. Like you said, so why is it the fact that we point out she's DEI hire a bad thing then? Wasn't that the point of your administration to point that out? Well, I mean, apparently it's a bad thing. And apparently the media is already doing this. Now, I want you guys to look at this real quick. This is a video where this guy's going to try to say, tried to say J.D. Vance lied. At the bottom of the screen, the headline says, J.D. Vance falsely claims that Democrats say everything is racist. Okay, keep that in mind when Democrat Maxwell Frost is proving J.D. Vance's point. He starts off by trying to say that, but then he starts to claim that everything is racist.
The other thing I'd say is that he is going to continue to use all these racist dog whistles throughout the campaign. We're going to see it from Trump, we're going to see it from J.D. Vance, and we're going to see it from a lot of their surrogates. In fact, just yesterday, one of the surrogates was saying, if we don't win, we're going to have a civil war to get our agenda through. A civil war. And so this is an organization, this is a right-wing campaign that's going to be racist, misogynistic against the vice president, but we're going to stand on the issues and what really matters. It's the fact that she is qualified. They want to call her a DEI president or DEI candidate. She has more experience than Trump and J.D. Vance combined times a million, right? She worked at the state level. She was the attorney general. She's vice president of the United States. She was a senator representing one of the largest states in the entire country. And so these are just
no wonder California shit.
Yeah, listen to this. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want to get this last part in.
Wait.
Okay, yeah.
She has more experience to be a president than somebody
who's been a president. I know, it's stupid. So yeah, Trump wins on experience and business, by the way. She's never ran a business, so she has no idea what to do with the economics.
Oh, she ran a business.
Fair.
She's been on her knees.
Fair.
With her mouth.
But like I said, the very beginning of this said that J.D. Vance, CNN saying he falsely claimed that Democrats make everything racist. Here's Maxwell Frost making it racist.
DEI, I want you to think about the N-word. And we need to think about racial slurs. That's what they actually mean.
So just the fact that we say DEI means we're racist. We're essentially calling her the N-word. But Democrats don't make everything about race. By saying that's what we're saying, even though we're not actually saying the N-word, you're saying we're being racist. So you literally just proved J.D. Vance's point. Literally. I mean,
literally.
Yeah, literally, whatever. I don't give a crap. But yeah, but again, guys, this has never been about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This is about the system. This is about the leftist establishment. They're just another puppet for the machine. That's what this is about. They're just trying on a new skin at this point, and if this don't work, they're going to probably wheel out Gavin Newsom come August or some shit. This is the way it
It'll be
goes.
Hillary.
Or it could be Hillary, it could be Michelle, it could be anybody. But yeah, JD Vance advocates. Oh, okay. So let's get into the policies she actually supports, right? JD Vance advocates for taxing working families with kids less so parents can afford to take care of their kids. And Kamala Harris and the campaign lost their mind about this, saying that he doesn't care about people who don't have kids. Well, by doing so, Kamala Harris's campaign just come out against tax breaks for families with children and the child tax credit. So Kamala Harris's policies are anti-family and anti-children. So all of you people who have kids who get extra on your tax returns, Kamala Harris don't want to give that to you now.
I'm trying to get that crazy cat lady vote.
Yeah. They're attacking JD Vance for supporting child tax credits. So by proxy, they don't support it. So
it's just always funny to me that, you know, he was pretty much a nobody up until, you know, Trump announced he was going to be the VP, and now they're digging up all this crap about him.
Yeah, he didn't like Trump.
Now he just said this, like I think today or whatever. Anyway, but they took this as he doesn't care about people who don't have family or don't have kids. But by doing so, they literally, and he was talking about the child tax credits. By doing so, they flat out basically admitted they don't care about it. This is exactly something like a Democrat would do. Always up in their feelings, but not focused on substance and policy. Every single time. Every single time. So yeah, speaking of more policies, Kamala Harris said that we need to reduce our population to stop climate change. This sounds very Thanos-esque, if you know what I'm talking about here.
Think about the impact on something like public health. When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
So she wants to reduce the population. Is that why she's pushing abortion so damn much?
Yeah, but I'm just gonna, maybe if we do it like this, because they like animals. How many different animals are extinct?
A lot.
How many are on the endangered list?
Quite a bit.
Someday humans
All of
are.
them.
They're gonna either make them transgender, and they can't have kids. Have you seen the story about Elon Musk's son?
Yeah, that was sad too. Unfortunately, I don't
Yeah,
have it
that was
tonight,
really
but
sad.
We'll have to try and play it at some point for sure. It was definitely sad. Not only that, Kamala Harris, let's see, apparently she wants to eliminate all carbon emissions and for vehicles and wants to go all electric and abolish fracking. So how's that work out for you, Ohio, Pennsylvania, all you people who do all that sort of stuff? Repeal the Trump tax cuts is what she wants to do, which are set to expire in 2025. So she definitely won't renew them. So your taxes are going to go up. Right there for sure, because that was not, contrary to popular belief, according to the left, that did not just benefit the 1%, that benefited all working class Americans for sure. This is a video of Kamala Harris omitting "by our creator" and the word "life" from the Declaration of Independence.
A promise we made in the Declaration of Independence that we are each endowed with the right to liberty and the pursuit of happiness.
Now that could be a flub, or it could be, the right, or I'm sorry, the left can't stand God. They've tried to remove him from every single thing. So why not do it with the Declaration at this point? And the right to life, because obviously they believe in abortions and shit. That's what they push. So it was Freudian slip, or literally that's what she meant. Let's see here. She's for defunding the police. Kamala Harris praised the defund the police movement in June of 2020 during a radio interview. Again, do you support that? Do you think you'll be safer with less police on the street? They tried to paint them as the evil ones here. She literally.
I don't know if all of them are going to act like the ones in fucking DC did the other day.
Yeah.
Sure.
Apparently,
here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
If they defund the police, wouldn't that make it like better for us, maybe in a way, because then we could easily make it easier for us to defend ourselves and not have repercussions.
No, because they also want to take away the
They
gun.
still want to take away your gun.
Oh yeah, which
The
is
only
Well,
people
I don't
that
have a gun,
guns are the
but I have swords.
right.
True, but
Well,
the only people that'll have guns are the criminals. So ask
Exactly.
Chicago how that's working for them.
Exactly. And speaking of her wanting to abolish guns, this is her flat out saying she wants to enforce a mandatory gun buyback.
I want to follow up to something you just said there, because you know, I mean, the 94 assault weapons ban, it didn't apply to weapons that were purchased before 1994. Right. What would you do about the millions of specifically assault weapons that are already in circulation? What do you do about those?
Well, there are approximately 5 million, to your point, Craig. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program. It's got to be smart. We got to do it the right way. But there are 5 million at least. Some estimate as many as 10 million. And
so a mandatory buyback program means you must turn your gun in. Must. So there goes the damn Second Amendment. She wants to shred that. Joe Biden at least was smart enough to say, we don't want to take your guns. We just want to give you more limits on what you could do. She's flat out saying, we want to take your guns. Flat out.
When they say buyback, are they literally going to buy our guns from us?
They might give you something for them. Just to kind
Yeah, you're not going to get what you paid for it.
To give you an incentive to give them up willingly without a fight.
$2 and a high five. That's what they're going to give you.
She's also been on record as saying that Australia is the model. Australia did such a thing. And by the way, if you look at Australia, what happened during COVID, they literally locked you up if you didn't do as you were told. So again,
Australia lost a war against emus.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Fair enough. Fair enough. She also supports Medicare for all and abolishing private health insurance. Here's her talking about that.
Must be addressed.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for healthcare services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal healthcare, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any.
Oh, come on. Oh no. I don't know what's happening there. Well, I'll see if I can pull that back up. We'll see what happens.
I don't want you to hear it.
Yeah, well, that's not good because then I need that damn window. Oh no, what's happening? Okay, there we go. So at least I got that back. But anyway, she was basically just saying that you know, Medicare for all, even if you're an illegal. So if that's the case, that's not good. You're just going to give away free healthcare to people who can't afford it and don't pay for it. I understand from coming from the left, you want to do good things to help people. I understand that. But again, this is not practical. How are you going to pay for all that shit? I'm going to get into that in just a second. But apparently, she also supports equity for all. Equity, meaning that you all get the same amount. So you can't earn more than someone else. So basically, you're going to be happy with what everybody else has because you're going to have the same amount as they do.
It has to be about a goal of saying everybody should end up in the same place. And since we didn't start in the same place, some folks might need more. Equitable distribution. Giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing. Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place, as opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more.
So again, she says that everybody needs to end up in the same place. So they're going to give people money and stuff to get them to a certain place. But then once you hit that place, you can't earn anymore. You can't get ahead. That's it.
So are they going to put into place where I'm pretty sure it was the Democratic Party. It might have just been all of them together, but they believe that people can live off of $2,000 a month.
Yeah. See,
does that include the people that are in office? Are they going to have that same
hell no.
amount?
Hell no. Not all of it. Like I said, how are you going to pay for all that? Well, this could possibly be why. This is a clip from The View way back in the day where they were discussing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez proposing a 70% to 80% income tax and the elimination of all gas-powered cars. Listen to what Kamala says. She does not refute the idea as being a possibility.
And she's promoting policies like saying that every single carbon emission in the country, every car, should be eliminated within the next 11 years, everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate. Do you agree that she could possibly, in this ideology of the socialist left, could splinter your party?
No, I think that she is challenging the status quo. I think that's fantastic. I think.
So, yeah, I mean, could she potentially raise your taxes that high? I mean, think about that. She will take from you and give to someone else. If you think they're just going to take from the ultra wealthy and give it to people like us so we can be rich, you have another thing coming. They will pocket more for themselves and give you the scraps. People like Kamala Harris, the elites, believe you already have too much. You're the ant, they're the boot. Just like people in China and North Korea are suffering. That will happen here if you vote for Kamala Harris. You think the economy is bad now? It can get absolutely worse. Think about that. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, does that sound like a good idea to you guys?
Nope.
Not at all.
How much more overtime will I have to do to live in this next coming 4 years?
Yeah. Again, they're going to expect you to eat the bugs and be happy, as the World Economic Forum wants to do. You're going to take what we give you, and the rest of us are going to live on the high life. That's what you're going to do.
Yep.
So, yeah. So the media says that she's younger. Okay, great. I don't care if she's younger. I don't care if she's a woman. I don't care if she's black, which we're going to talk about in a second. I care about, her being smart. And apparently if she's younger, she's still dumb. I'm not a fan of it. Here's her being dumb.
Okay, a bit of a history lesson. Do you know that the women's teams were not allowed to have brackets until 2022?
False.
Think about that. And talk about progress, better late than never, but progress. But you know what, just how we love March Madness, and even just now allowing the women to have brackets and what that does to encourage people to talk more about the women's teams, to watch them. Now they're being covered, and this is the reality. People used to say, women's sports, who's interested? Well, if you can't see it, you won't be. But when you see it, you realize, oh.
So they've had women's brackets and women's basketball in the NCAA since 1982. But she's trying to claim that it never happened until 2022, 40 years later. And they showed video of the brackets from the early to mid 2000s right there. So, yeah, she's completely clueless, guys. Completely. This is some of her other stupid comments. This is her talking about the passage of time. Let's see if this makes any damn sense.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
Does that make any sense to the rest of you at all?
Man. And if you think about it in the sense of the passage of time.
Yeah.
But does she write her own speeches, or I don't understand.
Well, and people are going to people are going to find this out real soon too. She's okay in front of a teleprompter a lot of the times, but when she goes off script like Joe Biden, she says stupid shit too. Maybe not as often, and maybe doesn't mumble or forget what she's trying to say, but she still comes off like an idiot.
Says it stupidly.
This one here is her talking about Ukraine being a country, and it's a small country next to Ukraine, who's a bigger country. Third grade level information here.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
Hard-hitting analysis there from our presidential nominee, presumptive nominee, Kamala Harris here. Here's a few minutes. I'm not going to play the whole 4 minutes of her saying her famous line, being unburdened by what has been and not being burdened what is to come, or whatever it is. That's a stupid line.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what can be.
Like her really think of.
Yeah.
Can they see this?
I don't know.
Like
But,
if there's anybody watching that likes her, can you please tell me?
Yeah, tell me what it is.
Yeah, 'cause we can't.
What am I
figure it out.
missing?
She's not Joe Biden. That's what it is right now. She's our best hope to beat Donald Trump, the evil orange man, for sure. This is her talking about her favorite thing in the world, Venn diagrams.
Remember Venn diagrams, those three circles, right? And then let's just see where they overlap. You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those three circles, how they overlap? I love Venn diagrams. So I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, you know, the three circles. And so I asked my team, right? They're fantastic. He sees the Venn diagram of it all. He sees that there are those circles, and maybe people seem that they're a little different. They live in different parts of the country. They may be different age or different race, but that area in the middle, that overlap. I asked my team to do a Venn diagram of where these attacks are happening. So voting rights.
So I guess she solves all her problems with Venn diagrams. I guess she didn't use that on the border. So yeah.
This woman in balls, man. She fucking loves him.
Not to mention, there's a lot of people on the right who believe she's not even black. Okay, they're trying to sell her as the first woman black presidential, possible, winner here. But apparently, Kamala Harris's parents are Indian and Jamaican. Barack Hussein Obama's parents were Kenyan and white American. We have not had an actual African American president yet. So now there are people who try to claim, well, her father was Afro Jamaican, so she may have a bit of black in her. In Willie Brown's case, that's definitely for sure. But
beat you to it, Aaron.
Yeah, beat you to it. But so she may be like 10% black or something to that effect. But I'm probably more black than she is. I mean, there's always that possibility. I mean,
I'm gonna be real solid.
All right, Elizabeth.
Listen.
Calm down.
Yeah,
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren
Brandon's have more black in her than you. All right,
Yeah.
let's just get.
Does this look? I mean, this is Indian. Not to mention when she ran for office.
Oh wow.
When she originally ran for office, she claimed that she was the first Indian American U.S. senator. But now, once it benefits her politically, she's going to claim that she's a black woman. So,
I hate this timeline.
yeah, she only started calling herself that once it started benefiting her.
Last week it was good. This week sucks.
Not only that, if you were black and you thought a band was like the greatest ever, wouldn't you already own the album instead of trying to buy it on camera?
What you get? So, okay, so do you know music? Okay, so first of all, Charlie Mingus, really one of the greatest jazz performers ever. One of my favorite albums of all time. Roy Ayers, Everybody Loves Sunshine. You know this one? So good. It's a classic. And then Porgy and Bess, right? And this is a beautiful one. It's Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. So there you go.
So they're trying to make her look
First of
more
all,
black.
who the
because,
fuck still has a record player?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could argue it's vintage for sure. But at the same time, why do you have to put all that on camera?
My mom.
Mention if it's the greatest album of all time, should you already have it since you love it?
My
so
mom
much?
has a record player.
Oh well, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with record.
Bullshit.
But apparently,
Brent.
black people. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Ren, do you know those songs? Do you know those? Do you know those artists?
I don't know. My stepdad didn't have those records, so we didn't listen to them. So,
saying, I
he
guess
has some pretty black music too, buddy. Like,
This is the Officer Tatum, Brandon Tatum
Hey,
on YouTube.
what you eating?
I highly recommend you go follow him on YouTube. Give him a watch as well. He's playing a bit of montages of black people in America who aren't buying this bullshit.
Clip. Before y'all Democrats start trying to play the race card, I want y'all to understand this. Kamala is not black. Her kids is not black. Her husband is not black. She does not come from black culture. So don't tell me I got to support Kamala Harris because she black.
See, he said he said it first. He said it first. Don't get mad at me. He said it.
Fair.
The race pander from the Democratic Party got to stop. It's really that simple. Thank you for listening.
Man, they got me up. I wouldn't dare vote for no black. Now, listen, I was raised by black women. I got a grandmother. I got black shit, but I wouldn't dare put no black woman in no fucking of the White House. the commander-in-chief of the military, a black woman. Not only that, a mixed black married to a white man. Her pH balance is way off with that white. Man, you can't make me believe. Hell no. Man, Kamala Harris got a white boy. Her pH balance is off, and her mental stability got to be off. Her would have thrown off pH balance unless she's sneaking and now if she's sneaking and then we might can let her be vice president. But there's no way. America, I'd rather for black people to go back to slavery than let a black woman run this country. Don't do it. Jay, listen, man, I'm against anything with a black woman running. You get your ass back in that bedroom and in the kitchen. But the White House, America, we can't do that. Hell no. Hell no.
If you have never heard Charleston White talk before, you ain't ready for it. This man literally has a chain that says "Nigga Nation" on it.
Oh, I don't know who this guy. You know him apparently.
But I do.
I don't know if there's any more here. Let's check. Let's see.
Civil War before we let him run this. Got me up. Go back and get Barack. If anything, find another mix, but don't put no in there.
Now Charleston crazier than a four-legged man with 25 shoes on him. But the reason I put Charleston White's clip in there is because you can see the range of the people of the melanin and how people are viewing Kamala Harris. Right, wrong, and different. You see a spectrum. Keep rolling.
So y'all get in here. President Biden done dropped out of the race. He endorses Kamala Harris. Kamala have not done anything but laugh for the last 3.5 years. She ain't did nothing but laugh her way through the last 3.5 years. I mean, and the dialogue, the talks that she did do or have was so misconstrued. Couldn't understand them. Most of the time, nobody knew what she was talking about. Y'all, come on. Is Kamala, is she the one? Is she who America wants to hold nuclear codes to make decisions for war, send our sons and daughters to war? I mean, everything for the last 3.5 years been funny to Kamala. Y'all, the plot thickens, and who gonna run with her? The plot thickens.
Yeah, so I mean, this goes on and on, but you get the point. I think these people do not support her, and even Black Lives Matter, who we just talked about a little earlier, who she tried to get funding for to get some of the writers out of jail during 2020, even came out and said, "We do not live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. Installing Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee and an unknown vice president without any public voting process would make the modern Democratic Party a party of hypocrites." I can't believe I'm saying this.
Why?
I can't believe I'm saying this. I agree with Black Lives Matter here. The organization, not the idea. Obviously, I think Black lives do matter. I believe all lives matter.
All right, let's get there.
But the fact that they're coming out and denouncing her, I mean, they got a problem, guys.
Wild.
Not to mention, 92% of Kamala Harris's staff, as she's when she was vice president, has left in their first 3 years in office. So even her own staff don't like her. I think out of 47 staff members, she only has 5 left. So what's that tell you? I heard stories she actually interrogated them constantly. So yeah, I mean, did we get the picture yet? Apparently, Gavin Newsom is also coming out talking this. But before we say that, apparently saying that Kamala Harris is a young black woman. I don't know about you guys, but that's not enough for me to endure another 4 years of communism. Sorry.
No,
I'm
good.
I'm good with that. But apparently Gavin Newsom is also coming out talking about how Donald Trump is not prepared for Kamala Harris. Listen to this bullshit artist.
I pity Donald Trump right now. He was not prepared for this to happen. He's flat-footed. This JD Vance guy, this guy's dangerous, man. This guy's a bad dude. I don't like him. I think if you're Donald Trump, you're stewing right now because you know you made a big mistake. All of a sudden, Donald Trump is on the defense. In politics, man, anything can happen and it happens fast. And so now this thing is a sprint. It's a lightning bolt. It's changed.
This is the same guy who they are probably planning to run in 2028 as the Democratic nominee. So keep that in mind. This guy is dirty, dude. Not only that, he wants to say Donald Trump had no idea this was coming. I believe Donald Trump predicted this right after the debate about like 3-4 weeks ago.
You gave me so much. How did I do with the debate the other night?
amazing.
Keep that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit in the race. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic. It's so amazing. It's just so fucking bad. So I just can't imagine. But can you imagine that guy with dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man.
Yeah, so he predicted that Kamala was going to be the nominee back then. Not only that, they already had their ducks in a row to have that ad put together that I played for you all ago. So if Trump didn't see it coming, how the hell did he have his team already have that ad ready that I played earlier in the show? Someone explain that to me. Gavin Newsom is a bullshit artist. Plain and simple. Apparently, also this week, Donald Trump come out and said, my debate with crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in history of the United States, was slated to be broadcast on fake news ABC coming up in September, the home of George Slopadopoulos, which he likes to call him. Now that Joe has not surprisingly has quit the race, I think the debate with whomever the radical left Democrats choose should be held on Fox News rather than the very biased ABC. Thank you, Donald Trump. He makes a point here because we've stated it many times that when Joe Biden, agreed to the debates, he had to have everything done a certain way. Had to be on a leftist news agency or a media outlet. Had to be the moderators that he chose, and of course, he chose George Stephanopoulos here in September. So he's just making the point that, to be fair, shouldn't we do it on Fox as well? Because that's the way it should be. Well, apparently Kamala Harris has already come out and said she's not going to do that. She's going to stick to the debate that Joe Biden already agreed to, and she basically called Donald Trump a coward and wanting to back out here. This is bullshit.
So many of you have been asking me about the debate, and I'll tell you, I'm ready to debate Donald Trump. I have agreed to the previously agreed upon September 10th debate. He agreed to that previously. Now it appears he's backpedaling, but I'm ready. And I think the voters deserve to see the split screen that exists in this race on a debate stage. And so I'm ready. Let's go.
Will you do it on Fox News?
He's backpedaling, huh? Do you think Donald Trump is scared of you? Really? On a debate stage? I'll have my popcorn absolutely ready for that one.
Yeah.
That's going to be hilarious. He's going to wreck her for sure here. But yeah. So apparently
Did
we've
he
got.
say he wasn't going to do it?
No, he never said he wasn't going to do it.
Who, Joe or Trump?
No,
yeah. Trump never said he wasn't going to do it. He just asked for a venue change because, again, that's fair. You go on. He went on a left-wing news outlet. Why don't you come on to a right-wing news outlet like Fox? I mean, what's wrong with asking that? He never said I wouldn't do it. I guarantee you, Trump's still going to do it. He's not going to back out of that. He's openly said he would do it, so he's going to. But kind of again, something that we need to remember too. All this stuff that's come out, we cannot and should not let the world forget that Trump was almost assassinated last week. So to wrap this show up, I got a couple of little things here. We're almost done. Kim Cheatle, the director of Secret Service, finally, 9 days too late, decided to resign. Almost getting a president killed, got one man killed and 2 others severely injured. So finally, she decided to resign and disgrace here because she faced apparently congressional hearings due to this. And apparently one man, don't know his name here, Representative Pat Fallon, let her have it here because she used to work for the Pepsi company. He let her have it here in this congressional hearing.
It is a miracle President Trump wasn't killed. Corey Comparatore life is over because that damn shooter made it on the roof. And it wasn't the roof that was dangerous. It was a nut job on top of the roof.
On the screen, Eric.
You know what else is dangerous? And your lack of skilled leadership is a disgrace. Your obfuscating today is shameful. And you should be fired immediately and go back to guarding Doritos. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Go back to guarding Doritos is what he told her.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's insane to me. But yeah, I mean, so Kim Cheatle has officially resigned here. That's her picture. If it wasn't up a second ago, I probably forgot to put it up. But yeah, so we didn't necessarily see her anyway. But anyway, so yeah, they finally got rid of her. Not only that, we got some actual video. This comes to us from Benny Johnson on X of the actual perch that supposedly they claim the Secret Service were stationed at when the shooter shot at Donald Trump. And if you can notice here, they had clear line of sight of the shooter, but did not stop him.
That's wild.
That is supposedly the second story window that they were stationed at. But yet they just allowed him to go up there and take a couple shots. But no, us right-wing conspiracy theorists out there who claim maybe this was allowed by the Secret Service or the government, No, we're crazy, huh? Okay, sure. This is now the Secret Service, the report of them asking Donald Trump to now do all of his campaign rallies now indoors instead of outdoors because they claim it's a security risk. Listen to this.
And just breaking moments ago, Brett, I want to tell you that the Secret Service is apparently now telling or asking the Trump campaign to stop doing their rallies outdoors. This is reporting from the Washington Post, just breaking in the last couple of minutes here. I can tell you that I asked Don Jr. about that at the RNC last week, if he was going to encourage his father to stop holding rallies outdoors. He said that his father would not like that at all. He loves those outdoor rallies. So we're still trying to work this story right now.
So is it because it's a security risk, or because they're afraid of the visuals of those huge crowds that Donald Trump rallies pull?
That's what I was thinking.
They're not wanting to just let the world see his popularity. They're trying to reduce the amount of people who could show up in an indoor. And I don't know about you, but don't we do NFL games and Super Bowls outdoor all the damn time and not have any single issues? You mean to tell me they can't secure an outdoor arena or a stadium or something to that effect? I mean, that's what this is really about. It's reducing the crowd size. However, he just held an indoor rally this last week, a few of them, and this is the crowd that we got. So, sure, keep trying.
Did you see he announced he's going to go back to Butler?
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I mean,
yeah, he announced that tonight.
That's awesome. I didn't see that, but yeah. But at the same time, while Donald Trump is pulling this crowd indoors, you know, Kamala Harris has this many people lining up outside her first presidential rally. In a battleground state at that. Maybe 20 people. Outside a high school gymnasium, by the way. Which probably holds, what, 1,000 people? Maybe 2, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Either that or, you know, she's making her first presidential media appearances on the RuPaul drag show, which I don't have video of right now. But, yeah, so she's doing those sort of rounds. That's her base, guys. Drag queens. So, yeah, we also got reports that apparently FBI Director Christopher Wray is now putting into question whether or not Donald Trump was actually hit by a bullet. He said, quote, with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that hit his ear. So again, they're trying to belittle what happened to Donald Trump to make it look like it wasn't what it was. And Christopher Wray is a Trump appointee, if I'm not mistaken. So screw this asshole. I mean,
he came out later. The FBI came out later on and said, yeah, it was definitely.
Yeah. The doctor, they actually released a statement from the doctor who looked over him, who said it was a bullet wound. So, yeah, it's out there, guys. I mean, you can't believe this bullshit. But again, everything you're seeing here is to try to belittle everything that happened to Donald Trump. Not only that, apparently there was a news report that was being talked about this assassination attempt. And one guy on the ABC News correspondent stated literally that the government, he says government, tried to take out Donald Trump. Listen to this.
Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas starts us off from Washington. Good morning, Pierre.
George, good morning. Our audience is about to see the frantic seconds in the moments after the government tried to kill former President Trump.
Government
it's
tried
all
to kill
caught on police body cam video. And warning to our family at home, what you're about to see.
So he was it again a Freudian slip? He said the government tried to kill him.
I heard it the first time as government, but then I listened to it again and it sounds like gunman.
Starts us off from
I
Washington.
don't know.
Good morning, Pierre.
George, good morning. Our audience is about to see the frantic seconds in the moments after the government tried to kill.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. My
Now,
apologies.
here's the thing. Him
My
being
apologies.
black, him being black, I would have just assumed he said government. Because
Yeah. But how many stories we had in the last few weeks where it literally sounded like one thing the first time you heard it, then you go back and listen to it like, oh, knowing that it may have been something different. That's
But I
interesting.
said, I hope some of these damn videos that say that she was the border czar doesn't come back and say she wasn't. Because like
Yeah, I hear you. It's just crazy. But I thought we would end the night. That's all I got basically for the politics this week. But I thought we would end the night on one little kind of fun note, at least. Obviously, we've been seeing over the last few weeks these videos of Donald Trump in his golf swing. Apparently, he actually went out and competed with Bryson DeChambeau. Is that how you say his name?
DeChambeau.
For the Wounded Warrior Project for veterans. They raised a ton of money. So again, doing things for a good cause, as the left would like to have you believe Donald Trump doesn't do. He actually does. And here is him actually winning from the sounds of things.
Yeah, they were like -22.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, boy. I gotta work on my swing.
Get up there. Get up. Yes. Yes.
Way to go. That way, partner. Do I even have to hit? Oh my gosh. Okay. He was walking it in. 7 iron.
Oh.
Oh, be good.
Man, is that good?
He's a
Be good.
pro golfer.
Yeah. And Donald Trump got it closer to the tee
I'll
than the
take
pro
that all day.
golfer.
Those are 2 great shots.
7 iron level. I'll tell you, when you're uphill, it's much longer.
It is.
You know, it's
But you hit a great drive there.
215.
I played it like 220.
Yeah.
That was kind of my thing. 210 to play 220. Do a nice drive around the green. Should be good. And then I had a nice 7 iron up there. You've hit it inside me a couple times today, actually.
He's zooming that car, bro.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, look at that. I think you might.
Those are 2 good ones. It was more. It was more at the pin, but
I think you might be closer. Can you believe that?
who's closer?
Oh my goodness! What a shot! Nice.
That's great.
Well, eagle opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's get it back.
Wow, look at these shots. Who's inside who?
I think the president hit it inside me. This is one of the greatest shots I've seen in a long time. Drove it to 4 feet. That's unbelievable.
Bad choice of words.
Nice.
I gotta work on my whole golf game, bro. My putt game.
Just walks off like a boss.
Hello, he just walked away.
Walk off like a boss.
Like it was
making
nothing.
eagles on par 4s.
Minus 15. Y'all don't like how hard that actually fucking is.
78 years old, putting us all to shame on his golf game.
That drive was insane.
But no, he's not physically up to the task. He's none of that, you know. Okay, keep believing that bullshit.
How far did he hit that?
Oh, I don't. It says 210 yards is the hole.
It's
So I imagine it's
10.
yeah. So I imagine it's
He got
He was like
within
4
4
foot.
feet away
Yeah.
from it. Get
So
Maybe.
200
fuck out of here.
6 yards.
yeah, par 4, knocked it down in 2 shots. So yeah, I mean, the dude knows his golf, man. So again, like I said, believe all this nonsense all you want. We're just trying here on the channel to show you some of the stuff that the media will not show you. Take it for what you will. I mean, we're not trying to. If you don't want to believe it, that's your opinion. We're not trying to persuade you, I guess. But at the same time, we're trying to put the information out there because a lot of people don't. There's a lot of good people out there on YouTube and Rumble and things like that, or on X. That's where we're getting a lot of this. But again, you watch the news on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC. They're not showing you this. None of it. They're covered up for all this stuff we showed you. So call us crazy conspiracy theorists all you want. Miranda knows that we've been called that forever. So continue what you want. But anyway, that's what I got for tonight. What do you guys think about all this crazy stuff?
My golf game is ass.
I hear you. And I know we've done a couple of long shows here on the podcast here as of late. There's been a lot of political news, especially that's come out since this whole debate and Biden dropping out and Trump being shot. So hopefully things will calm down a little bit. That'd be nice for us here on the channel. So maybe we can actually focus on some other stuff besides just news and politics. But
We
we
just
feel
gotta
like
keep
this
in
is-
mind
Yeah.
that Biden is still Biden.
Yeah.
We could end up with Kamala as our president before the election.
Yeah. Yeah. And if that's the case, she'll still have to run for re-election if that's the case.
Yeah.
But she could still technically be the 47th president. And and I would not be surprised if the Democrats try to pull off something to be able to say that she is the first woman black president or whatever it is, just to say that they were able to say it. And that's that's not good. But time will tell. We'll see how this goes. Trump 2024, everybody. If this doesn't convince you, I don't know what will, because you can believe it's bullshit all you want. You look into it, it's not. The media will tell you everything we showed you is a lie, but we pointed out here many times the media is lying to you. So I guess with that being said, if we got nothing else to say, I guess we'll get out of here for the night. Y'all good for that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody looks tired. I know it's long. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please comment below. Let us know what you guys think about all this. Hit that like, hit the subscribe button. And I guess next week we'll have a show. We'll be doing that. I think the week after I'll be out of town. But next week we'll have a show if you guys are up for it. And until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. So take care. God bless.
Good night.
Good night.
Later.